Chapter 1235. Su Fong took out a big seal, which had the aura of suppressing a territory and sealing a supreme powerhouse. It was the demon sealing Emperor Heavenly Seal. This seal was regarded as the imperial seal of the Divine Wave Nation. In fact, its real ability was to break seals, enchantments, and also to create. It turned out that after a few years of integration, Su Fong could already activate most of the power of the demon sealing Emperor Heavenly Seal. At this time, he could use the demon enchantment to test its power. He activated the demon sealing Emperor Heavenly Seal with true qi, a golden xianguang. Looking carefully, it turned out that this xianguang was condensed from countless Tao patterns, with an aura of deduction and disintegration of array. The xianguang fell on the enchantment, and a mark appeared on the xianguang, turning into a strange demon pattern. Finally, the xianguang disintegrated into a demon light and dissipated in the void. A powerful demon enchantment was broken by the demon sealing Emperor Heavenly Seal, just like that. The experts in the Crucible transformation world, the Big Goblin, saw this scene with the help of Su Fong's eyes and couldn't help but be stunned. Law also praised in the blood jade deep in his body. This magic weapon is good. Although it is far inferior to the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron and the reincarnation sword, it is almost at the same level as the void dust cauldron, but it has a strange ability. There are not many magic weapons that can break the seal of an array. It will be of great help to you in the future. Su Fong said, "Fortunately, I have the purple Qi Law spirit. Otherwise, how can it be so easy to control an ancient extreme weapon?" He slightly activated the life shrinking technique, sensing the aura of the demon race, and continued to move forward. Along the way, he encountered more and more array enchantments. Su Fong didn't consume true qi to activate the demon sealing Emperor Heavenly Seal. Instead, he directly shattered his body, turned into a blood ribbon, and directly shuttled through the array enchantments. These arrays couldn't stop the supreme powerhouse of the Immortal Emperor level. However, even Immortal Emperor experts could only use their divine ability to forcefully break the formation. Even if they didn't trigger the spatial turbulence in the surroundings, it would still alarm the devil race. How could it be as easy and ingenious as Su Fong? The Yellow Spring Blood Sea was just so ingenious. As Su Fong passed through a demon race array formation, he suddenly sensed something within his great circle of perfection as he drew closer and closer to Demon Dawn Frontier. There was a male demon in front of them. This was a real demon who had taken over a human's body, not a demon cultivator. He was holding a token in his hand that was flashing with black demon light. He was moving at an extremely fast speed through the demon enchantments he encountered along the way. Judging from its aura, this demon's strength was similar to his special disciples. It couldn't be considered too strong. But this place was very close to Demon Dawn Frontier. As long as there was even the slightest movement, it would alarm a massive number of demons. Second Primordial Spirit, go, seize this body. Su Fong made a prompt decision. A black xianguang shot out from his eyes. With a whoosh, he passed through the chaotic space-time flow. Due to the fact that the devil was familiar with the route and had the token, he could pass through the array formation without any obstructions. Therefore, his speed was extremely fast, and he soon appeared in Su Fong's line of sight. He also saw Su Fong with a glance. The human cultivator demon was shocked. He was about to activate the token. Whoosh! A black xianguang broke through the air, striking the demon between his eyebrows and drilling into his divine aperture sea. A demon's mortal body was powerful, but their primordial spirits were relatively weak. In addition to the second primordial spirit's unsurpassed divine might, this demon didn't even have time to revolve his demonic energy before the second primordial spirit broke through his divine aperture and completely erased his primordial spirit. The second primordial spirit controlled the demon to return. My true self, you can enter my inner world and directly mix in a Demon Dawn Frontier. That's a good idea. Having finally found a way to enter Demon Dawn Frontier, Su Fong was overjoyed. The demon controlled by the second primordial spirit opened its mouth and swallowed up the demon body. With the demon body in token, the journey was much easier. Before long, they arrived at Demon Dawn Frontier. However, the Demon Dawn Frontier he saw was completely different from what Monarch Ba Demon had described. Here, besides dust, there was a massive amount of rubble and ruins. It was a desolate land without the least bit of spiritual energy. Broken stones and ruins piled up into towering mountains. Beneath the ruined mountains, there were palaces. There were even cave mansions and other buildings built into the mountains. Demon cultivators and demonic path cultivators came and went from these places. Roughly counting, there were at least 100,000 of them. Most of them were demonic path cultivators, but there were also puppet demon soldiers. Above the ruins, there was a massive demon enchantment that separated the ruins from the turbulent space flow. Inside was a small demon world. In just a few years, how could things have changed like this? Monarch Ba Demon was left dumbfounded. It looks like the demons have spent a great deal of effort here in these past years. They're preparing to turn this place into a fortress and not just a camp for people to live in. Let's go, we have to hurry and find Fairy Xuanxin. Let's save her first. The demon possessed by the second primordial spirit activated the token, emitting a protective divine might. He passed through the array formation and arrived above the ruins. Go Spike, there hasn't been any news from the demonic path cultivators in the turbulent flow abyss for a long time. Didn't I send you to investigate? How come you returned so quickly? A cold voice sounded out. A demon with a tower-like mortal body led a squad of demon soldiers over. Go Spike's second primordial spirit was startled. Then he realized that this demon was called Go Spike. What a strange name. With a flash of demonic light, a whip with sharp demonic spikes ruthlessly struck his body. A deep wound appeared from his left shoulder all the way to his abdomen. Blood gushed out, and his stomach nearly split open. Ghost Spike's eyes emitted a cold, demonic light. He didn't move at all, as if he didn't know pain. What are you looking at? The army is about to arrive from the devil world. How dare you slack off? Be careful, or I'll directly feed you to the demons. Bring him to the Yao feeding cave. If you slack off again, I'll directly eat you. Another whip struck his body, leaving behind another wound. Killing intent flashed through Ghost Spike's eyes. Su Fong hurriedly sent out the voice of his primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit. Saving people is more important. Gue Ci lowered his head and silently followed a demon soldier into the distance. They arrived at a ruined mountain peak and entered a cave at the foot of the mountain. The demon soldier handed Ghost Spike to a male demon who seemed to have quite a high status. Another offender has come. Your mission is to serve that Kuan Yao. Feed it at a fixed time every day and clean it up. You have no choice but to delay, or I'll eat you alive. The male demon gave Su Fong his mission. He then tossed over a token and left in embarrassment. Ghost Spike walked into the cave and opened his mouth wide, spitting out Su Fong. The demons in the Yao feeding cave are raising Big Goblin. They must be using it to cultivate. Su Fong wasn't surprised. That tower-like demon said that the demon army was about to arrive. Could it be that the demons really have opened a channel from the devil world to the immortal domain? As he thought of the endless demon army entering the immortal domain, Su Fong felt as if his entire body was covered in ice. He shivered, but right now he didn't have the time to think about it. He also didn't have the ability to do so. First, he had to save Fairy Xuanxin. He could clearly sense the aura left behind by Fairy Xuanxin in Demon Dawn's stronghold with the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique. Su Fong's mind shook. Fairy Xuanxin had really been captured by the demons. But when he tried to capture Fairy Xuanxin's figure again, the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique didn't respond. It was either blocked by something or she was no longer within his range. Su Fong activated the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique once more and combined it with his great perfection ability. Now he could sense over 60 miles away from the ruins. Within Su Fong's range, he could sense at least 1,000 demons, over 100,000 demonic path cultivators, and a massive number of Gorb demons. There were also many righteous path cultivators. He carefully sensed the auras of Su Fong. At the entrance of a mountain, he could faintly sense the auras of righteous path cultivators. But because it was blocked by the ruins, it was difficult to sense how many people there were, and it was even more impossible to sense Fairy Xuanxin's aura. Let's go in and take a look first. Su Fong had his primal twin guard the Yao feeding cave. Then, he released the Wooling Goblin. It was swallowed into the Wooling Goblin's stomach. Then, it turned into a stone belt, following the ruins and rubble on the ground, and quickly climbed towards the mountain where the righteous path cultivators were imprisoned. After the Wooling Goblin fused with the world fragment, its strength and ability had greatly increased. The injuries it suffered in the Divine Wave Nation's Imperial Mausoleum had also healed. At this time, the Wooling Goblin stone belt was quickly climbing on the ruins. No demons or demonic path cultivators would be able to sense it. The Wooling Goblin shuttled through the cracks in the rocks behind the mountain. After nearly 20 breaths, it arrived above a cave. Inside the cave, there was a human female cultivator. Judging from her Taoist robe, she should be a cultivator from the Nirvana meditation sect. Her face was beautiful, but her face was as pale as paper. Her aura was also very weak, almost no different from an ordinary human. The strange thing was that the demonic seal on this female cultivator was very strange. It wasn't used to shackle the body or anything else. It was unknown what it was used for. After observing several caves in succession, they were all almost the same. However, there were female and male cultivators in the caves. They came to another cave. Oh, it's actually her. The female cultivator in the cave was extremely beautiful, wearing a constellation of 9 heavens Taoist robe. Su Fong had met this female cultivator several times, but they didn't have a deep relationship. She had a marriage alliance with Fairy Xuanxin. It was through this woman's jade slip that Fairy Xuanxin agreed to dual cultivation. She was a special disciple of Star Palace, Wang Yuxian's elder sister. Wang Yuxian really didn't expect that she would be captured and brought here by the demonic clan and even met by Su Fong. Go down and save her. Su Fong ordered the Wooling Goblin. Yes. Law suddenly spoke, but hesitated. Law, what do you want to say? Su Fong spoke to Law with his primordial spirit. Nothing. Su Fong thought this was a bit strange, but he didn't think too much about it. He swept his great perfection ability over Wang Yuxian's body. She really did have the aura of the constellation of 9 heavens. Without hesitation, the Wooling Goblin leapt out from a crack in the ceiling of the cave. It landed in the cave and transformed into its monster form, spitting out Su Fong from its mouth. Wang Yuxian slowly opened her eyes. She coldly asked, "Who are you?" Her voice was a bit strange. Su Fong's eyebrows arched up. He replied, "Senior apprentice sister, I am Su Fong. Your little sister Wang Yuxian is my friend." Wang Yuxian's eyes flashed with a dark light. She swept her eyes over Su Fong and asked, "A feather immortal realm cultivator, how did you come to Demon Dawn? We'll deal with this later. First, I'll bring senior apprentice sister out." Su Fong urged. "Very good." Wang Yuxian eerily smiled. Suddenly, a strong demonic energy erupted from her body. This peerlessly beautiful woman's beautiful face began to tear apart and wriggle. Then, all of her muscles began to swell. In that instant, Wang Yuxian transformed into the face of a middle-aged man. Moreover, a single horn sprouted from his forehead, and his ears stood up like a bat's. This was clearly a heavenly demon, not Wang Yuxian. However, Su Fong had clearly sensed her aura just now. Without a doubt, she was Wang Yuxian. He also didn't sense any demonic energy, so he could conclude that she hadn't been possessed by a demon. He was caught off guard. Su Fong didn't have time to erupt with his aura. He could only hurriedly dodge. Wang Yuxian's sharp demonic artifact hand tore out a deep wound on his chest. The wound immediately turned black, and demonic poison rapidly spread throughout his body. Chapter 1236. For a low-level feather immortal realm cultivator to be able to sneak in a Demon Dawn stronghold, it seems you have some tricks up your sleeve. But since you've taken the initiative to deliver yourself to my mouth, you've interrupted my cultivation. The demon man that Wang Yuxian had transformed into stretched out his bright red tongue like a snake. licking at the blood on his hand. With a fierce smile, the demon man eerily said, "Human, your blood is very special. It is filled with the power of life. If I swallow you, I won't need this embryo to completely recover. I might even be able to take another step forward." Embryo. Su Fong was suddenly enlightened. It turned out that this demon man had used a planting technique to enter Wang Yuxian's placenta and exist in the form of a fetus. It was truly difficult to sense his aura. Law's voice came from the blood jade deep within his body. "You aren't too stupid. You finally know that Wang Yuxian has become the embryo of this demon man. You haven't forgotten the planting technique I once taught you." While allowing the Gorb demon to absorb the demonic poison in his body, he asked, "Law, you already knew this, so why didn't you remind me? If you need me to remind you of everything, then it will be meaningless to your growth. This can be considered a profound lesson for you. Since ancient times, those who have achieved great things cannot be soft-hearted. Your heart is not ruthless enough. Moreover, you must remember one thing. Even if it is the people you trust the most, your family, your friends, you must never let down your guard. In the past, it was precisely because I trusted my own clansmen that..." Su Fong was alerted. He humbly accepted the lesson. "Law, thank you for your advice. I will engrave your words in my heart." Looking at the demon man, Su Fong's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Wang Yuxian was a famous great beauty of the constellation of 9 heavens. She was admired by countless disciples. Although Su Fong didn't fall in love with Wang Yuxian, he had secretly piqued at her. Who didn't like beautiful women? Moreover, her little sister Wang Yuxian was one of Su Fong's few friends in Star Palace. He naturally had a good impression of her and was close to her. At this time, Wang Yuxian had been ruined by this demon man. Even her life, cultivation, everything about her had been swallowed up. Hatred overflowed. This hatred was not only because of Wang Yuxian's experience, but also because of Su Fong's hatred of the demon race. Seeing Su Fong's expression, the man from the demon clan showed disdain. "What? You want to fight against a cultivator in the Yuxian realm? You're already considered a powerhouse among humans, but you're just an ant in front of me. This stone demon is not bad, but it's a pity that his talent is not for fighting. Human, become my nourishment. This is your supreme honor." As soon as he finished speaking, the demon man grinned maliciously. He was very pleased with himself. A demon sword appeared in his hand, and with a fierce aura, he thrust it at Su Fong. After this devil transformed into a heavenly devil, his strength reached the level of a great elder. The entire cave was filled with his astonishing aura. Devil chi surged, and devil flames overflowed into the sky. "I was careless and fell into your trap. Did you really think that you could crush my Su Fong?" Su Fong channeled the devil chi in his golden core origin and used the celestial ghost body art to avoid the attack of the devil sword. At the same time, he also activated the 9 serenities heaven covering hand. His hands quickly formed a seal and threw out a black palm print. How can a human cultivator like the 9 serenities heaven covering hand grasp the top cultivation technique of my devil race? With a cry of alarm, his aura collided with the palm print. After a moment of stalemate, it shattered. At the same time, several experts appeared in front of Su Fong. Dai Yong, the monk, and the Ba Devil Sovereign all used astonishing divine abilities. Their auras directly suppressed the demon man. The demon man's malevolent smile instantly froze. He hurriedly put up a defense and let out a sharp demon sound. This demon sound was extremely penetrative. It turned out that the demon man had no choice but to call for help in a shock. "Not good. Kill this demon." Su Fong's expression changed, and he loudly ordered. Whoosh! A silver light streaked across the night sky like a meteor, leaving behind a trail of silver light. It suddenly attacked from behind the monk at an incredible speed. It turned out that Mao Chong had activated the immortal piercing blade. In the next second, the immortal piercing blade appeared between the demon man's eyebrows. He simply had no time to react. Boom! The demon man's head was like a smashed watermelon. White and red blood splattered everywhere. Buzz, buzz, buzz. With his great perfection ability, he could sense that countless powerful heavenly demons and devil path cultivators were rushing over. Law reminded, this demon is residing in Wang Yuxian's placenta. Destroying his head isn't enough. You must destroy his corpse as well. I understand, but he didn't destroy the corpse. Instead, he placed it into the crucible transformation space within his body. Since he liked to devour humans, then he would let this demon man have a taste of being devoured. Besides, this corpse was also a very rare cultivation resource. After placing the expert into the crucible transformation space, Su Fong returned to the Wuling Goblin's body. The Wuling Goblin turned into a stone belt and drilled into a crack in the stone. In that instant, the cave's entrance burst open. Over a dozen heavenly demons and devil path cultivators rushed in. Not long after, the entire Demonon frontier was alarmed. The heavenly demons and devil path cultivators were like a nest of ants, moving out in full force as they searched everywhere. Shwa shwa shwa, the Wuling Goblin that had turned into a stone belt crawled along the rubble on the ground. Su Fong also stimulated his earth-attributed spiritual power to fuse with the Wuling Goblin. Although there were many heavenly demons and devil path cultivators, and many of them were powerhouses, it was still impossible for them to find any trace of the Wuling Goblin. In a single breath, they returned to the monster-raising cave. I couldn't find the whereabouts of Fairy Xuanxin. Instead, I ended up alerting the enemy. Su Fong was depressed. As he saw Wang Yuxian's miserable fate, he was also worried about Fairy Xuanxin. Calm down, I have to calm down. He took a deep breath and calmed himself down. That heavenly demon powerhouse was in the Imperial Tomb's Void World. He was injured by Emperor Ying and Night Demon. He personally broke into the Divine Wave Nation's Imperial Palace to kidnap Fairy Xuanxin. It's clear that he values Fairy Xuanxin and wants to use her to recover from his injuries. Therefore, Fairy Xuanxin must be in the hands of that heavenly demon emissary. As long as I can find the heavenly demon emissary, I will be able to find Fairy Xuanxin. When he thought of this, Su Fong prepared to push his heaven's secret life shrinking technique to its limit. Law's voice suddenly came from the blood jade in the depths of his body. For a woman you don't like, you don't hesitate to use up your precious life force. You're really desperate. Su Fong stopped using his heaven's secret life shrinking technique. Law, do you have any good suggestions? Law said unhurriedly, actually, you don't have to worry about Fairy Xuanxin for the time being. Su Xing was pleasantly surprised. Law, hurry up and tell me. The planting technique of the demon race is not as simple as you think. They just need to mate with a human woman. Instead, they need to feed the fetus with various spiritual objects that contain the essence of heaven and earth for several years in advance. The demon race men also need to cultivate the forbidden technique of the demon race in advance before they can use the planting technique. It will take decades or even longer for them to succeed. If it can be used so casually, how can the planting technique be called the supreme magic of the demon race? The demon race army is about to arrive, so how can the heavenly demon emissary who kidnapped Fairy Xuanxin have time to use the planting technique? Su Fong stammered, Law, is this true? If you don't believe me, you can ask the Bod Demon Monarch. He must know something about the planting technique. Su Fong asked the Bod Demon Monarch for confirmation. It was as Law said, but the Bod Demon Monarch only heard about it occasionally. He knew far less than Law. Even he himself was not too sure. Su Fong was annoyed. Law, since you already knew, why didn't you remind me when you saw me so anxious? It's you who heard that something happened to your woman and lost your calm in a hurry. Why don't you think about it carefully? Fairy Xuanxin absorbed your yang qi and became your woman. She has already formed a destiny connection with you. You have the great luck brought by the purple qi dharma spirit. She also has your luck. How could she be easily harmed by the demon race? Su Fong breathed a sigh of relief and corrected, She is not my woman. She is just my dual cultivation Tao companion in name. I am so anxious because she is my Tao companion. Any man who encounters such a thing will be anxious. You are stubborn. The reason why I didn't remind you is that I want to see your anxious look. I want to see if you're still stubborn. It is so boring to stay alone in the Blood Jade. You have to find some fun for yourself. Su Fong was depressed for a while, then slowly said word by word, Law, I have to say, you are really despicable. Thank you for your praise. I will work harder in the future. I really want to beat you up. Anytime. Of course, it has to wait until I gather my physical body and primordial spirit. Su Fong almost spat out a mouthful of blood. When Law gathers his physical body and primordial spirit, what kind of existence would he be? Perhaps even a supreme existence like immortal emperor, you would be like a child in front of him. Huff, he let out a long breath. Law's proud laughter came from the Blood Jade, but Su Fong automatically ignored it. Buzz the life, shrinking technique reacted. Some Tao runes suddenly appeared in his mind. It is the demon race expert who kidnapped Fairy Xuanxin. He did not know where this demon went. At this moment, it was attracted by the big commotion here and came over. Sensing carefully, Su Fong felt the aura of Xuanxin from this demon. And it was not an ordinary aura, but very clear. If I were this demon race expert, I would not imprison Fairy Xuanxin outside, but seal her in the demon artifact space. Fairy Xuanxin must be in the demon artifact space inside this demon artifact. I have to determine her whereabouts. Law asked solemnly. You used up your life force just to determine the whereabouts of Fairy Xuanxin. Is it worth it? Law, I can make up for the life force I lost in many ways, but Fairy Xuanxin only needs one time to be consigned to eternal damnation. Since my fate is connected to hers, if I can't rescue her, my fate will definitely be affected. For her and for myself, losing some life force is certainly worth it. Su Fong suddenly activated the life shrinking technique to the extreme. The tip of his head immediately turned gray. Using the life shrinking technique at full power, Su Fong instantly burned nearly 1,000 years of life force, and this number was still continuing. In his senses, there was a broken cauldron in the demon race expert's mind, see divine aperture. It was a Tao artifact that looked like the remains of an incense burner. Inside it, there was a woman in a white dress. The broken cauldron Tao artifact was very strange. It seemed to be a thunder magic treasure with a thunder divine might. It could actually block Su Fong from sensing Fairy Xuanxin's fate. If Su Fong did not use the life shrinking technique at full power, and he had a very close fate connection with Fairy Xuanxin, he would not be able to sense her existence at all. Su Fongdao was shocked. When the life shrinking technique was used, even Su Fong himself could not sense its power, let alone the enemy. This was the void of fate. At this moment, it was blocked by a broken Tao artifact. This made Su Fong feel that it was inconceivable. Suddenly, the broken cauldron Tao artifact in the demon realm expert's divine aperture ocean suddenly burst out with a shocking thunder divine might. It was completely different from all the thunder magic Su Fong had seen before. This thunder divine might made Su Fong feel as if it was going to wipe out his body, soul, and even his fate, leaving no trace behind. Chapter 1237. The broken cauldron in the divine aperture of the demon expert released the power of thunder. It actually wanted to follow Su Fong's aura of destiny and destroy everything in Su Fong. But as it turned out that the Xianming lightning archive, sleeping in the yin-yang Tao, will suddenly moved. At this critical moment, Su Fong did not have time to pay attention to it. Without hesitation, Su Fong cut off the connection with the broken cauldron. At the same time, he used the life shrinking technique to completely cover his own aura of destiny. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. The broken cauldron lost Su Fong's aura and calmed down again. Who is it? The demon expert also noticed the movement of the broken cauldron. His eyes flickered with demon light, revealing shock and disbelief. A vast aura erupted from the devil expert, trying to sense the space around him. However, Su Fong used the heavenly fate life shrinking art to conceal his aura. Even immortal emperors wouldn't be able to detect Su Fong's presence. In the demon raising cave, at least half of Su Fong's head was white. In this short moment, he consumed no less than 4,000 years of his life wheel. Although there was a way to recover the chi of life, Su Fong still felt his heart twitching because of this loss. What shocked him even more was the broken cauldron. A broken cauldron was actually able to sense the heavens' secret life shrinking technique. It was also able to release the thunder god's might. It felt as if it wanted to wipe Su Fong from this world. Su Fong's heart was also in turmoil. He was very shocked. Luo, do you know what kind of Dao artifact this is? Luo also exclaimed from the blood jade in the depths of his body. The Thunder Punishment Cauldron is a peerless Dao artifact like the Xinjia Gate and the Xianming Lightning Archive. It was famous in ancient times. Su Fong hurriedly asked, Thunder Punishment Cauldron, Luo, do you know the origin of that broken cauldron? Luo responded, the Thunder Punishment Cauldron of the Thunder Punishment Immortal Monarch was famous during the Great War of Immortals and Demons in ancient times. Naturally, I have heard of it, but I didn't expect it to fall into the hands of the demon race. Fortunately, it is already broken and incomplete, otherwise you won't be able to escape today. Could it be that the Thunder Punishment Immortal Monarch is also an unparalleled expert who cultivates the Tao of Destiny? Destiny is void. There are many great Daos in the world, but I have never heard of a great Tao of Destiny that is similar to your heavenly secret life shrinking technique, let alone someone who has cultivated it before. Naturally, it is impossible for the Thunder Punishment Immortal Monarch to do so. Since the Thunder Punishment Immortal Lord has never cultivated a Fate Divine power, how did the Thunder Punishment Cauldron sense my Fate Divine power and react to it? This was the question Su Fong was most concerned about. Ever since he started cultivating the Fate Divine power, this was the first time he had encountered something like this. I'm not sure about that either. However, it should be related to the Lightning Punishment Cauldron's ability. It is said that the Lightning Punishment Cauldron can absorb the tribulation lightning of an unparalleled expert and release unparalleled lightning-type divine might. It can capture the enemy's aura and destroy the enemy's body, soul, and everything related to them. Su Fong sucked in a cold breath. Compared to the Lightning Punishment Cauldron, which one is stronger? I'm not sure about that either. Both of them surpass the 10 great Dao artifacts and are peerless Dao artifacts on the same level as the Xinjia Gate. Furthermore, they are both lightning-type Dao artifacts. I can't say for sure which one is stronger. You can go and ask the artifact spirit of the Lightning Punishment Cauldron. The Lightning Punishment Cauldron can absorb tribulation lightning. This ability is truly heaven-defying. That's why I remembered this Dao artifact. It's probably because of this that I was able to sense your Fate Divine power. Luo, you're confusing me. Can you explain it more simply? Then I'll explain it more simply. Cultivator's cultivation is originally going against the laws of the heavenly Tao. Tribulation lightning is precisely because cultivators defy the heavenly Tao and change their fate. The Lightning Punishment Cauldron absorbs tribulation lightning. It contains a certain amount of heavenly Tao's punishment power. That's why I can sense the life shrinking technique. It's not that the Lightning Punishment Cauldron has any Fate Divine power. It only has the divine might to destroy fate. So that's how it is. Su Fong let out a long sigh of relief. Luo continued, if you can get your hands on this broken Lightning Punishment Cauldron, it will be of great use to you in the future. It's a good treasure. It's just a broken divine artifact. It still has some power left. I have the Lightning Punishment Cauldron, but I still can't use it. What's the use of this Lightning Punishment Cauldron? The Lightning Punishment Cauldron can absorb tribulation lightning. Moreover, it's not an ordinary tribulation lightning. It's a great tribulation lightning sent down by the heavenly Tao when the immortal domain's supreme expert strength reaches a level beyond this immortal domain. Think about what the Lightning Punishment Cauldron can do. Absorb tribulation lightning. Luo, you mean the Lightning Punishment Cauldron can be used to help pass tribulation? That's right. You can pass the 9 great tribulations easily now. But later on, those true supreme experts, which one of them didn't have a slim chance of survival? The Lightning Punishment Cauldron can help pass tribulation. You cultivate the Tao of Fate. Your future heavenly tribulation will be scarier than any expert. With this Lightning Punishment Cauldron, even if it's broken, it'll be much easier to pass tribulation in the future. Luo continued, and those big goblin subordinates of yours, in order to transform into Demon Emperor and Demon Emperor, they have to go through life and death tribulation again and again. They're 10 times, 100 times more powerful than human cultivators. With this lightning punishment cauldron, these big goblins' future tribulation will be much less dangerous. Su Fang's eyes shined. He almost drooled. This handsome demon man had almost taken Su Fang's life several times. He had to take revenge. At this time, Fairy Xuanxin was in his hands. He had to rescue her. In addition to this lightning punishment cauldron, no matter what angle he looked at it from, he had to kill this demon powerhouse. It was just that in Demon Dawn Frontier, demon powerhouses were as common as clouds, and the demon army would soon arrive. Moreover, this handsome demon man was an immortal emperor-level powerhouse. If he wanted to kill him, that was easier said than done. He separated a part of his consciousness and entered the yin-yang Dao wheel. The sleeping, profound, underworld thunder seal was now in an awakened state. It emitted a cold and deep light. Profound underworld, you also know about the lightning punishment cauldron? Through your divine might, I can feel the aura of lightning punishment. In the great war of immortals and demons in the past, lightning punishment and I were the two supreme lightning attribute Dao artifacts used to contend against the demons. We slew countless demon powerhouses and struck fear into their hearts. I never thought that lightning punishment would be incomplete. I estimate that even its artifact's spirit has been destroyed, and it will no longer be able to release its light. The profound underworld thunder seal's voice was still cold, but it carried a trace of sadness. Profound underworld, between you and the lightning punishment cauldron, which one is more powerful? Su Fang was very curious about this point. My strength is the power of nature, but lightning punishment strength is mainly the power of the heavenly Dao's punishment. After I'm activated, my destructive energy can cover a vast area and indiscriminately release lightning attribute divine might. As for lightning punishment, it only targets a single powerhouse. Thus, the two cannot be compared. So that's how it is. Su Fang nodded. Su Fang, if it's within your ability, don't let the incomplete lightning punishment cauldron become a killing tool for the demons to kill human cultivators. Of course, I want to kill that demon powerhouse and seize the lightning punishment cauldron. Profound underworld, wait patiently. Since I have become your new master, I will not bury your brilliance. You are the possessor of a godhead. I believe that as long as you have supreme thunder arts, you will be able to activate me. Another great war of immortals and demons is about to begin. I'm also looking forward to the day when I can release my brilliance once more and even become a supreme divine artifact. The profound underworld lightning punishment cauldron's tone carried a trace of expectation as well as a trace of disappointment. Then it fell back into a deep slumber within the yin-yang Dao wheel. After pondering for a long time, Su Fang still couldn't think of a perfect plan. Let's figure out the situation in Demon Dawn and then make a decision. Su Fang made a decision in his heart. With his great perfection ability, he sensed that the demon man in charge of the monster-raising cave was approaching with a large number of demon masters. Su Fang was once again taken back into Ghost Spike's body by his second primordial spirit. It turned out that Su Fang had killed a demon powerhouse just now, causing a great commotion in Demon Dawn. In addition to the reaction of the lightning punishment cauldron in that handsome demon man's divine aperture, the demons were thoroughly searching the entire Demon Dawn stronghold. After a round of questioning and inspection, they naturally couldn't find any problems with Ghost Spike's body. The demon masters all left in embarrassment. The demon man in charge of the monster-raising cave coldly shouted, "Something major has occurred in Demon Dawn stronghold. Hurry up and do what you need to do. Do you want to die?" Ghost Spike obediently agreed and walked deep into the monster-raising cave. Sealed within the monster-raising cave were big goblins. There were some fierce big goblins that should have been used for cultivation by demon cultivators. In the deepest cave, there was a big goblin. Its aura was as deep as an abyss, making Su Fang feel as if it were unfathomably deep. This should be an incomparably fierce big goblin. If this were any other time, Su Fong would have taken all of these big goblins into the Yellow Springs Great Emperor bottle without hesitation. But at this time, all of his thoughts were focused on rescuing Fairy Xuanxin, so he naturally didn't pay attention to these big goblins. After Demon Dawn's stronghold calmed down once more, Lin Ming said, "Second primordial spirit, go and investigate the whereabouts of that demon powerhouse." His second primordial spirit left Ghost Spike's divine aperture, turning into a Xian Guang and flying out. Half a day later, the second primordial spirit returned. "True self, the situation is very serious. It is best if you personally go and take a look." Su Fong's heart skipped a beat. Since the second primordial spirit said that the situation was very serious, then it should be extremely serious. The second primordial spirit took control of Ghost Spike's body once more. It took Su Fong into its inner world and flew towards the edge of the ruins outside Demon Dawn Stronghold. Along the way, it encountered groups of powerful demon and demonic path cultivators that were in a hurry. The second primordial spirit took this chance to sneak into a group of demonic path cultivators. The demonic path cultivators had a much lower status than the demons. Although some people thought this was strange, they didn't dare to question it. The demonic path cultivators shuttled through array formations and arrived tens of thousands of meters in the air. They arrived at the chaotic haze that was covered in air currents. This was already the depths of the chaotic void. On one side of the chaotic void, there was an irregular rainbow light in the starry skies. This was the enchantment that connected to the outer space. On the other side of this rainbow light was another outer space. The two spaces squeezed together and rubbed against each other, producing this strange rainbow light. Demonic path powerhouses and demonic path cultivators were gathered outside the rainbow light. There were no less than 50,000 of them, densely packed together. With his great perfection ability, he could sense that the handsome demonic path man was also here. "What are they doing?" Su Fong curiously looked over. In the most dazzling area of the rainbow light was a 1,000-foot-tall Gorb Devil. It was far larger than any Gorb Devil that Su Fong had ever seen. In terms of strength, even an immortal Emperor-level powerhouse would find it difficult to subdue it. This incomparably large Gorb Devil was using its massive body to forcibly open a crack in the rainbow light. The wild air currents and the power of space distortions constantly damaged its body. Black blood gushed out, making it look extremely shocking. Behind it, the demon race, powerhouses, and demonic path cultivators constantly sent demonic energy into the Gorb Devil's body, supplementing its strength. The rainbow light crack was pushed open bit by bit until it was as tall as a person. Luo Zai suddenly cried out in alarm. The demons really want to open a space-time channel to the outer space, and they're about to succeed. Su Fong, you had best destroy the channel before it stabilizes. Otherwise, once the demon army arrives, the human cultivators of this immortal realm will face a calamity of annihilation. In less than 1,000 years, this immortal realm will be reduced to a wasteland. Chapter 1238. Su Fong's head was buzzing. He felt that his body was covered in ice from the inside out. Destroying the passageway and stopping the devil army sounded simple, but the middle-aged devil who was standing side by side with the handsome man was also an immortal emperor expert. Moreover, he was slightly stronger than the handsome man. In other words, there were two immortal emperor supreme experts present. No, it should be three. That incomparably huge gorilla devil was at least an immortal emperor. Not to mention that there were hundreds of thousands of devil and devil cultivators. Who knew how many terrifying experts would be in the devil army that was about to arrive? Although Su Fong's overall strength was not bad, the only one who truly had the combat strength of an immortal emperor was the corpse emperor controlled by the second primordial spirit. Although the experts under him, including the big goblin, had extraordinary strength, they were still far from enough to face an immortal emperor. Luo said aloud, "Su Fong, calm down. Those who have achieved supreme greatness must have the ability to remain calm even if the sky falls and the earth rends, to remain calm even if a knife pierces the heart. You must learn to calmly face great dangers, and you must not lose your domineering aura because of difficulties and obstacles. Su Fong let out a long breath, gradually calming his heart down. Law then said, "With your current strength, it's certainly unrealistic to directly stop the devil army. It's no different from smashing an egg against a rock. You must use your own advantage to attack the enemy's weakness." My advantages are correct. Although the demon race is powerful, I also have my advantages. I'm in the dark, while the demon race is in the light. I don't need to directly contend against the demon race's army. I can directly destroy the space-time channel to prevent the demon race's army from coming. Think carefully. I only need to find a way to draw away one of the immortal Emperor experts and let the second primordial spirit deal with the other immortal Emperor expert. Then I can take the opportunity to use the Origin Sacred Mirror to kill that huge gorilla devil. Law said affirmatively, "Your idea is not bad. The key is that gorilla devil. Once we kill this gorilla devil, the passageway will automatically close and the devil army will not be able to come. Furthermore, the barrier between the two outer realms is different from the one that leads directly to the outer void. One needs to find the most crucial node and expend a great deal of magic power to open it. Once this passage is closed, we need to find a new node between the two space-times. It will take at least 100 years for the demons to find the new node and reopen it. With this buffer period, the human powerhouses will be able to completely wipe out Demon Dawn without any worries." Hearing Law say this, Su Fong immediately relaxed. The main point was to kill the Gorb demons and close the tunnel again. With his second primordial spirits, Supreme Primordial Spirits, Divine Might, and Corpse Emperor's help, killing an immortal emperor of the devil race meant that the rest of the devil race and devil Dao cultivators were nothing to worry about. How can we lure away an immortal emperor of the devil race? Su Fong frowned. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Big Goblin, those big goblins in the demon-raising cave. Release the big goblin and create chaos. I'm afraid those big goblins aren't strong enough to lure away an immortal emperor of the devil race. In any case, let's give it a try first. If it doesn't work, we'll think of other methods. If it really doesn't work, we'll release the small commanders and those resurrected corpses. However, the losses will be disastrous. It didn't matter if over 1,000 resurrected cultivators were killed. As the world changed, more and more resurrected cultivators would be resurrected. There would be plenty of opportunities to gather powerful resurrected cultivators. The majority of those small commanders had followed Su Fong from the small world to the great immortal world. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Su Fong wouldn't be willing to sacrifice them. No matter what, we have to rescue Fairy Xuanxin and stop the devil army from coming. Su Fong's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty light. The lofty overlord's aura of the small world returned to his body. His second primordial spirit controlled Ghost Thorn and stealthily retreated from the sea of devils, returning to the ruins. I told you to serve the Kunyo, but you disappeared. Do you really think I don't dare to devour you? As soon as he entered the demon-raising cave, the voice of the male devil who was in charge of managing the cave sounded out. Several devils followed behind him. They weren't very strong. They were all low-level devils in charge of guarding the big goblin. At most, they were equivalent to feather immortal human cultivators. Whoosh, the Devil Clan male, unleashed his Devil Clan's mystical ability and charged towards Su Fong aggressively. Looking at his ferocious appearance, he really wanted to swallow the ghost stab in one gulp. Death and Ghost Spike opened their mouths and spat out a figure. The figure shattered in the air and turned into a horrifying blood screen that covered an area of more than 300 meters. The blood screen covered the male demon and the dozen or so demons behind him. Miserable screams sounded out. The Yellow Spring's Blood Sea's terrifying devouring ability was revealed. The devils struggled in the blood for a while before their skin and flesh were quickly corroded by the blood. In the end, even their skin and bones were melted into blood. They burned their life essence and merged with the blood. Hua hua hua. The blood roiled and turned back into flesh. Really too weak. It only replenished a bit of life force. Su Fong shook his head in dissatisfaction. These low-level devils were really too weak. They weren't of much use. The devil that had devoured Wang Yuxian wasn't bad, but he didn't have the time to cultivate the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. Wang, the heavenly secret life, shrinking technique, suddenly reacted. It wasn't that someone was sensing Su Fong, but that there seemed to be a pair of eyes looking at him from the unseen world. Su Fong was greatly shocked. He shouted loudly, "Who is it? A human cultivator can actually perform such a shocking and supreme divine ability." This emperor is really surprised. A voice drifted out from the void. Then it gradually went further and further away. Su Fong felt a chill run down his spine. "Luo, do you know what this thing is?" "Interesting. There's actually such a powerful big goblin sealed in the demon feeding cave. It has a divine ability like the Void Glimpse stage. This is really unexpected." Luo was surprised. However, he purposely kept Su Fong in suspense and didn't tell him anything. Fortunately, it wasn't a devil. It was a sealed big goblin. Su Fong finally felt relieved. Su Fong released several experts and wiped out all the devils in the demon feeding cave. Only then did he walk into the deep cave where the big goblin was imprisoned. Immediately, a monstrous demonic chi rushed towards him. Of course, there was also a foul stench. Each of the caves that were dug out from the mountain wall had a big goblin sealed inside. They ate, drank, and defecated in the caves. Of course, the smell wouldn't be good. There were more than 3,000 big goblins. The strongest one was almost as strong as Green Feather King. The weakest one was a junior commander. Human. There's actually a human in the demon feeding cave. Moreover, he's a righteous human cultivator. Could it be that the devil race has already invaded the immortal domain? Are these humans cowards who surrendered to the devil race? Maybe the devil race is using them as food for us. Roars rang out from the demon feeding cave. There were also big goblins that spoke in human voices. "All of you shut up." Su Fong activated his power at the Great Perfection stage and shouted in a domineering manner. His voice shook the demon-feeding cave, causing the big goblin to immediately shut up. "I don't have time to waste on you. The devil race's army will arrive soon. None of you big goblins will survive. I'll let you out right now. If you fight to the death and stop the devil race's army, you can regain your freedom and preserve your lives." Su Fong immediately said, "You're just a feather immortal, but you dare say you'll stop the devil race's army? What nice words. You just want us to sell our lives to the humans. Humans are the most cunning and scheming. Don't listen to him. If you have the ability, then undo the seal on our bodies. If you don't, then don't fart here." Su Fong frowned. "So you've been sealed by the devil race for too long. You've all become a bunch of trash who don't even have the will to resist." Roars rang out from the demon-feeding cave. A Zhongyang immortal sky pill appeared in Su Fong's right hand. Then a flame appeared and melted the pill. Its medicinal aura immediately spread through the demon-feeding cave. The big goblin let out startled cries. All of them were shocked and excited. "Not only can I let you out, but I can also give each of you 100 of these pills to help you recover. If you're willing to die here and be devoured by the devil race in the end, then I have nothing to say." Su Fong released numerous experts in Big Goblin. So many human experts. And so many Big Goblin. Those are the ancient Peng race, the Pig Horse King Dai Yong, the Ba Mo Sovereign, and a few other world immortals. There's also the Green Feather King, the Vermilion Emperor, and other Big Goblin. They completely intimidated the rebellious Big Goblin. An ethereal voice rang out from the depths of the demon-feeding cave. "The Peng race. I really didn't expect to meet the Peng race here. Human brat. There's also that little Peng race over here. It's that powerful big goblin. He let Dai Yong, the Ba Mo Sovereign, and the other experts break the barrier that imprisoned the big goblin before removing the seal on their bodies. The Vermilion Emperor and the other big goblins stood at the side to intimidate them. There was also the Corpse Emperor's second primordial spirit outside, so they weren't afraid of the demon-feeding cave rebelling. Su Fong led the Green Feather King deeper into the demon-feeding cave. They walked down the deep tunnel for more than 1,000 feet before finally arriving at a cave. There was a gemstone embedded in the wall of the cave that emitted a dim light. A figure sat cross-legged in the center of the cave. This was an old man without a single piece of clothing on his body. He was emaciated, with only his skin covering his bones. A thick black iron chain pierced through his chest, with both ends buried in the ruins of the mountain. There were imprints on the chain. Not only did it lock the old man's body, it also locked his vitality. The old man looked like he was about to die. He gave off a feeling of being tall and mighty, as deep as the abyss. What was even stranger was that when Su Fong used his perfect eye power to observe this person, he actually sensed nothingness. It was as if this person didn't exist at all. The old man's eyes flashed with a dim light. He swept his gaze over the Green Feather King. As expected of the Peng race, but too weak. The Green Feather King in human form respectfully said, "Senior, you're from the Kuan race." The old man nodded. "Correct, I am from the Kuan race, the same race as the Peng race." The Green Feather King knelt on the ground. Su Fong spoke to Luo in the Blood Jade. "Is the Kuan race also a type of demon race?" Luo responded. "Correct, the Kuan race is also a type of demon race. In ancient times, they were part of the Peng race like the Peng race. Later, they split into two branches, but their bloodline is of the same origin. Both the Kuan race and the Peng race are very few in number, almost extinct in the great immortal world." Then Luo reminded Su Fong, "Don't underestimate this Kuan demon. If I'm not wrong, he should be a void roaming Kuan and a supreme demon emperor. He has the amazing talent to roam the void and even tear the chaotic space-time. The demon race was able to open a space-time passage outside the realm, most likely because of this Kuan demon. If you can subdue this demon, you can enter and exit the dangerous places outside the realm freely." Of course, Su Fong wanted to subdue a powerful, big goblin emperor with the talent of space, but he could only think about it in his heart. Chapter 1239. Green Feather Monarch asked, "Senior, how did you fall into the hands of the devil race and get sealed here?" Kuan Yao coldly snorted, his eyes burning with anger. This emperor roamed the great immortal world, going in and out of various dangerous places. Who would have thought that in a dangerous place in the devil world in the distant outer space, this emperor lost consciousness for a moment and was unfortunately captured by Devil Emperor and shackled and sealed? Su Fong suddenly said, "The reason why the devil race could find a passage to this immortal domain from the outer space is because of Senior." Kuan Yao said bitterly, "The devil race began to infiltrate every corner of the immortal domain 1,000,000 years ago. They have been looking for a passage directly from the devil world to this immortal domain, preparing to take another path and occupy the entire immortal domain in one fell swoop in the next great war. Although I have the talent to travel the chaotic space, it's impossible for me to have such great ability. It's just that under the coercion of the devil race, I've contributed a lot to the devil race in the past 1,000 years." He glanced at Green Feather Monarch. "It's the will of heaven to be able to see my clansmen before I fall. Peng little guy, seeing that you're following this human boy, I'll remind you that humans are insidious and cunning. You can't trust them. Stay away from him immediately." Fortunately, he didn't leave any shackles on him, otherwise I would have torn him apart. What a ferocious and overbearing demon emperor. Green Feather Monarch hurriedly explained, "Senior misunderstands. Su Fong is different from other humans. He and I have ascended from a small world to the great immortal world. We have always been like brothers, and he also regards me as family. He also has a way to help Senior get out of this trap, but after Senior gets out, he has to help us destroy the passage and stop the Devil Race army. He's just a human cultivator at the Feather Celestial Realm. How can he help me get out of this? The demonic chain that's binding me is a demonic weapon of a supreme demonic emperor from the devil world. Not only did it bind my body, but it also shackled my life origin chi. How can he break it? If I'm not mistaken, he should have used the Yellow Spring demonic emperor's Yellow Spring Blood Sea. Although his divine ability is amazing, it's a far cry from the legendary Yellow Spring demonic emperor's Yellow Spring demonic emperor." The Kuan demon said disdainfully. He did not take Su Fong seriously at all. Following that, the Kuan demon's eyes dimmed as he said in a dispirited voice, "Furthermore, I'm already at the end of my rope. I don't have much time left. Why should I go out?" Suddenly, Su Fong sneered. "Senior, you've been sealed by the devil race for a long time, so you've lost the arrogance and drive of an ancient beast. You'd rather have your essence devoured by the devil race than die a glorious death. Why don't you make a last-ditch effort? Human, you dare to mock this empress?" The Kuan demon's eyes were filled with the power of the primordial spirit. It seemed to be able to tear the void apart as it headed straight for Su Fong's forehead. "You want to use your primordial spirit's divine might to suppress Su Fong's second primordial spirit? Come." Swooshe Black Xian Guang suddenly appeared. The collision of Yuan Shun and divine auras created a Yuan Shun aura that forced Green Feather King and Su Fong to retreat. It turned out that his second primordial spirit had instantly traversed through the void and arrived here. The Kuan demon's primordial spirit's divine might was instantly shattered. He was so shocked that he was dumbfounded. "What is that thing? It can actually resist my primordial spirit's divine might." Green Feather King replied, "Senior, that's Su Fong's second primordial spirit. It has the supreme divine might to suppress an immortal emperor's primordial spirit. Moreover, it's currently possessing a corpse emperor that's comparable to an immortal emperor. Its strength is probably on par with Senior's." The Kuan demon was completely shocked. The way he looked at Su Fong instantly changed. He no longer had the supreme arrogance of someone superior. Instead, he looked at Su Fong as an equal. Whether it was human cultivators or demons, they all followed the natural law of the strong being respected. No wonder that little guy from the Peng race can follow you. Human, you're indeed extraordinary. The Kuan demon sized up Su Fong again and also curiously looked at the imprint where his second primordial spirit resided. Su Fong said indifferently, "Senior, now you should believe that I have the ability to help you escape, right? I'm really looking forward to seeing how you're going to break the supreme Demon Emperor seal." The Kuan demon's eyes were filled with anticipation. This demon had spent his entire life roaming the void and was very free. However, he was shackled by the Demon Emperor. How could he not want to regain his freedom? Su Fong used his great perfection ability and swept the demonic chain. He frowned slightly. This was troublesome. This demonic chain was actually a demonic weapon that was comparable to a peak Dao artifact. Not only did it lock the Kuan demon's body, but it also shackled his vitality. If he used the demon sealing emperor's heavenly seal to break it directly, his vitality would be damaged. In his current state, he would lose his life if he wasn't careful. Seeing Su Fong's expression, the Kuan demon's hopes were instantly dashed. He was about to sigh. Su Fong took out the Origin's sacred mirror and activated it. A ray of red light shot out from the mirror's surface. Although the demonic chain was extraordinary and belonged to the Demon Emperor, how could it resist a heaven-defying divine weapon like the Origin sacred mirror? Sensing the shocking power contained in the red light, the Kuan demon trembled in fear and released a wave of aura to protect himself. Chi! 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 The red light wrapped around the demonic light, released by the demonic weapon, and swept it away. Then it covered the demonic chain, and the nine-yang primordial fire burned instantly. As the fourth sun rose into the sky, coupled with the fact that Su Fong now had 25 yang meridians, it became much easier for him to activate the primordial chaos sacred mirror. Now, he could barely activate the primordial chaos sacred mirror. However, he could only control it slightly and release more nine-yang true flames. He still could not use it to kill experts. When the Kuan demon felt the aura of the Origin sacred mirror, he was shocked and terrified. He had a strong feeling that it could easily destroy him. This is a divine weapon. How could there be a divine weapon in the great celestial world? How could a heavenly immortal like you activate a divine weapon? The Kuan demon was dumbfounded. He trembled as he spoke. At this moment, he was completely in awe of Su Fong. The demonic weapon instinctively struggled. One end of it was quickly pulled out from the underground ruins. With a rustling sound, It twisted like a demonic snake and passed through the Cohen demon's body. It was trying to escape. Clearly, this demonic weapon also had a weapon spirit. Since the demonic weapon was caught by the nine-yang primordial fire, how could it escape so easily? Sizzle, the nine-yang primordial fire burned the demonic patterns on the demonic chain that belonged to its original owner's blood and chi. The demonic chain became an ownerless object. When Su Fong grabbed it again, it was still trembling. Clearly, it was extremely afraid of the Origin's sacred mirror. It was afraid that it would be melted in a molten iron. Whoosh! Su Fong put the demonic chain into his body. This demonic chain could shackle the chi of life and was extremely tall. It was a very good magic weapon. Although Su Fong couldn't use it, he could give it to the demonic cultivators under him. I'm free. I can't believe I can regain my freedom in my lifetime. Ha. The Kuan demon laughed loudly. He was very excited. Su Fong smiled and said, Senior, although it's a joyous thing to be free, you can't be naked in front of a junior like Green Feather King. That's not befitting of a senior. You human brat, you dare make fun of me? Ha. A set of green robes appeared on the Kuan demon's body. He laughed wildly. Su Fong took out another 1,000 yin-yang immortal sky pills, and they were all top quality. He gave them to the Kuan demon. Sensing the pill's aura, the Kuan demon swallowed another one. Scorching energy suddenly surged through the Kuan demon's meridians. The power of yin and yang erupted. The medicinal energy also brought with it the divine might of life. The Kuan demon's life force, which had been almost depleted, was now boiling with a shocking amount of blood and chi. The shriveled muscles on his body also swelled up a little. He was no longer like a skeleton, and his entire body was filled with vitality. The Kuan demon's expression immediately changed. Then he became wild with joy. What kind of pill is this? It has such a shocking effect. He was pleasantly surprised. The Green Feather King said, Senior, Su Fong has many of these pills. Hurry up and use them. Once you recover, we can fight the devils together. What are you rushing me for? How can you be so determined to side with the humans? Scolded the Kuan demon. The Green Feather King immediately fell silent. He was as obedient as a child. Looking at Su Fong, the Kuan demon's tone immediately became polite. What's the situation now? The barrier between the two outer realms has already been opened by an incomparably huge gorilla devil. The devil army is about to arrive. It's still too early to open a crack. The exit has to be completely stabilized before the devil army dares to pass through. Otherwise, they'll be directly killed by the twisting power of space-time. It'll take at least half a year. I've just escaped, and I've used up too much of my life force. Even with your pills, I won't be able to recover instantly. Without power, I won't be able to help you. Thinking about it, Su Fong decisively said, 3 months. At most, we can wait another 3 months. The life force he had used to use the life shrinking art was far from being recovered. But time was of the essence, and he was worried that something would happen to Fairy Xuanxin. He didn't dare delay for too long. 3 months is barely enough. It's not good to stay here for too long. I'll bring you away and find a place to recover. 3 months from now, I'll slaughter my way back to Demon Dawn Fortress and slaughter all of these demon brats. The Kuan demon revealed a towering, domineering aura, bursting with killing intent. Su Fong's blood was also boiling, his killing intent chilling. His original plan had only been to stop the devil army from coming and rescue Fairy Xuanxin. But now that a monster emperor had appeared, and this monster emperor was also a Kuan demon with an astonishing talent, his previous plan had to be slightly changed. He also had to make the devil race pay a heavy price. At the very least, he had to cut off one of the devil claws that the devil race had extended into the immortal region. A figure cut through the skies above the ruins like a meteor, passing through the array formation and instantly arriving in the turbulent flow of space-time. But he wasn't swept away by the turbulent flow of space-time. Rather, he was like a fish swimming through a torrent, easily swimming through. Even the spatial cracks and rips that even immortal emperor-level powerhouses had to avoid were all easily passed by. He arrived at a material ruin. The figure turned his palm, and Su Fong and the big goblin appeared one after another. The Kuan demon had used his innate ability to bring Su Fong and all of the big goblin from the monster-raising cave out of Demon Dawn Fortress and into these ruins. The Kuan demon's innate ability was astonishing. Although he hadn't recovered, he was still able to travel through the turbulent flow of space-time as if he were walking on flat ground. He didn't even transform into his monster form. If he transformed into his monster form, then he could directly tear through the void and wouldn't need to go through so much trouble. But the Kuan demon had just escaped and couldn't withstand such a consumption of energy. Su Fong left his second primordial spirit in Demon Dawn Fortress so that he could keep track of the movements of the demon race. In particular, that handsome demon man would immediately report back to him if anything happened. With his second primordial spirit's ability, it would only take several breaths of time to arrive. The Kuan demon and the big goblin that came out of the monster-raising cave immediately took the yin-yang immortal vault pill and restored their strength. Su Fong didn't delay. He entered the crucible transformation realm and arrived at an array formation. His body shattered, turning into a pool of blood. His thoughts stirred. A headless demon corpse appeared above the pool of blood. This was the demon powerhouse that had swallowed Wang Yuxian. He had been killed by a master under Su Fong, and his corpse had been taken away by Su Fong to restore his life essence. Wang Yuxian, I'm not familiar with you, but I owe you a favor. Now, you have been swallowed up by the demon race and have fallen into such a miserable state. I promise you that not only will I kill all of the demons in Demon Dawn Fortress, but I will also help you look after Wang Yuxian. As Su Fong thought of Wang Yuxian's bitter experience, he sighed with emotion. He was even more worried about Fairy Xuanxin. His heart immediately filled with urgency. Chapter 1240. An ant-like human cultivator like you actually dares to speak such arrogant words? It won't be long before the entire immortal realm becomes the territory of my demon race. I advise you to obediently release me. The demon man's voice suddenly sounded out from the corpse, still as arrogant as ever. Su Fong didn't have the time to waste words with this demon. Without waiting for the demon man to finish speaking, the blood water wrapped around the corpse like a snake, drawing it into the blood water. Chi, the corpse was like a block of ice falling into boiling water. It was rapidly corroded by the blood water, turning into blood water that fused together with the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. The demon man screamed out in pain and then fell silent. Even if his mortal body and primordial spirit weren't shackled, it still wouldn't be able to escape the terrifying swallowing ability of the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. This corpse had been carefully cultivated by this demon, using countless spiritual objects that contained life energy. Then, it had used a planting technique to swallow Wang Yuxian's cultivation, body, and life essence. In addition, this demon was a powerhouse that had reached the level of a great elder. At this time, all of this had been turned into nutrients for Su Fong to restore his life essence. In an instant, the Yellow Springs Blood Sea ignited with the flames of life. It roared and seethed like a raging sea. As Lin Ming's cultivation broke through to the feather immortal realm, the Yellow Springs Blood Sea also underwent a transformation. Its swallowing ability had risen by a great deal. Now, it didn't even need to use crucible transformation to fuse with the demon man. The life essence was used by Su Fong to restore his life essence. As for the demon man's demonic energy, it was extracted by Su Fong to cultivate the demon race's cultivation methods. Not a single bit was wasted. At the same time, Su Fong also took out a massive number of yin-yang immortal vault pills and other pills. There were also many spiritual objects that he used crucible transformation to refine into liquid and then threw into the blood water, where they were all swallowed up. To a cultivator, 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Su Fong flew out from crucible transformation. Although 3 months of cultivation was a short period of time, with the help of the corpses of the demon race powerhouses, the life essence he had consumed in Demon Dawn Fortress had been restored to its peak state. His half-white hair and old face had all been restored. The big goblin under Su Fong and the big goblin of the monster feeding cave were already familiar with each other. These days, seeing the amazing treatment of the big goblin under Su Fong, the big goblin of the monster-feeding cave swallowed his saliva. The moment Su Fong appeared, the big goblin of the monster-feeding cave rushed over and clamored to join Su Fong. Of course, Su Fong did not stand on ceremony. He left shackles in the big goblin's body and stored them all in his Dao treasure space. Those who were about the same strength as the big goblins were left in the void dust cauldron. Those who were slightly weaker were sent to the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's bottle and became small commanders. Looking at the Leviathan that was still sitting cross-legged, Su Fong asked, "Senior Leviathan, how has your recovery been?" The Leviathan opened his eyes, his pupils shining with a sharp light. An aura erupted from his body, causing the surrounding space and time to fluctuate, setting off a chaotic airflow that swirled around him. At this time, the Leviathan no longer had the appearance of a skinny old man. Instead, he was hale and hearty, his entire body overflowing with life energy. His aura was vast and empty, and his body seemed to fuse together with the surrounding space and time, as if he could control it. "I've mostly recovered, but I'm almost done. Let's go. The resentment that I've accumulated for over 1,000 years will be returned to those demon bastards 10 times over. Kill them all." The Leviathan exuded a domineering aura, his entire body exuding a thick, killing intent. Su Fong entered the Leviathan's body space. The monster broke through space and left the ruins. The Leviathan appeared in the turbulent airflow above Demon Dawn Fortress, releasing Su Fong from his body. Just as he was about to rush towards the enchantment passageway, Su Fong suddenly said, "Senior, there are far too many demons. Moreover, there are at least 3 unsurpassed immortal emperor-level powerhouses. It's not advisable to directly confront them. Of the 3 immortal emperor-level demon powerhouses, the Corpse Sovereign and the Leviathan could each deal with 1. As for that incomparably large Gorb Devil, it was trapped in the space-time enchantment crack. This was where the primordious Holy Mirror came in handy. It was just that there were over 100,000 demons and demonic path cultivators. There was no lack of fierce, great elders like Sovereign Ba Mo, and below them were the elites of the demon race and demonic path cultivators. There were also countless powerful demon puppets and Gorb Devils. They weren't easy to deal with. "What do you think we should do?" The Leviathan's white eyebrows arched up, a bit dissatisfied. With the wild and violent nature of the monster race, they would naturally seek revenge and kill to their heart's content, regardless of how strong they were. "I ask Senior to first completely destroy the channel that connects Demon Dawn Fortress to the outer void. Even if the demon army enters Demon Dawn Fortress, they won't be able to enter the divine Billow immortal world for a short period of time. I will also arrange for Masters and Big Goblin to create chaos in Demon Dawn Fortress and draw in the demon powerhouses. I will use this chance to destroy the exit that the demon army is using and kill the Gorb Devils that are supporting the enchantment crack. Then, I will find a way to kill the demon powerhouses." Su Fong had already planned everything out. Humans are truly cunning. How can this be as satisfying as killing? "That's fine. We'll follow your arrangements." Although the Leviathan was dissatisfied, he still nodded in agreement. Su Fong released all of the Masters and Big Goblin. He gave the Big Goblin the mission of destroying Demon Dawn Fortress and creating chaos. He had Sovereign Ba Mo and the other Masters rescue the human cultivators that hadn't been planted by the Demon Lord. After witnessing Wang Yuxian's pitiful fate, Su Fong couldn't bear for the other human cultivators to follow in her footsteps. More importantly, all of the human cultivators that were captured by the demons were Masters. He could rescue them and take them under his command to increase his strength. Roar! The Leviathan erupted with a rich monster energy. Its body swelled and changed shape, transforming into its monster form. It was over 1,000 feet long and had a whale-like body. However, it had a pair of giant wings that were over 3,000 feet long. With a gentle flap of its wings, a storm of chaotic space-time currents appeared. It instantly passed through 10,000 meters of the void and dove down towards Demon Dawn Fortress. With its monster form, it smashed through the mountains of ruins. Then, it passed through the dense crowds of demons and demonic path cultivators, setting off a storm of space-time currents. It was unknown just how many demons and demonic path cultivators were sent flying away, their bodies torn apart and blood splashing out. What a terrifying Leviathan monster emperor! Su Fong was dumbfounded. This Leviathan monster is too terrifying. Its evil aura is too heavy. Blue Feather King sighed from the side. I fear that Senior doesn't have much time left. This is the resentment in his heart, as well as the supreme pride of the Leviathan race, completely erupting outwards. The Leviathan monster slaughtered its way through, leaving behind a rain of blood. By the time the demons and demonic path cultivators reacted, they had already taken out their demon artifacts and launched their supernatural abilities. The Leviathan monster broke through the void and flew out of Demon Dawn Fortress. As it arrived in the air, it released a supreme supernatural ability that caused space-time to fall into chaos and shatter, tearing apart the defensive array formations of Demon Dawn Fortress. Tens of thousands of demon race masters chased after the Leviathan monster. But the Leviathan monster swaggered into the spatial tear that led to Demon Dawn Fortress from the outside. Its massive body soared through the turbulent flows of space-time, causing astonishing currents of air to erupt out. These currents gathered into a billowing storm, causing the flow of air in the spatial tear to become even more chaotic. The array formations that the demons had set up began to break apart, disappearing without a trace. Moreover, the chaotic flows of air in the spatial tear had been thoroughly stirred up by the Leviathan monster. If it wanted to calm down and stabilize again, it was unknown just how many years it would take. However, the Leviathan monster had also consumed a great deal of energy. According to the lifespan of the Leviathan race, he was now the same as an old human. After being tortured by the demons for over 1,000 years, his life essence had nearly dried up. If it weren't for Su Fong's yin-yang immortal sky pill, he would have died within 100 years. However, the yin-yang immortal sky pill wasn't omnipotent. At this time, the Leviathan monster was far from reaching his peak state. The Leviathan monster was abnormally excited. The resentment that had accumulated in his heart had been vented, and he was overjoyed. He also felt gratitude towards Su Fong. If it weren't for Su Fong, then even if the Leviathan monster perished, he would have been reduced to a cultivation material for the demons. To the wild and unruly Leviathan monster emperor, this was absolutely intolerable. So how could he not be grateful to Su Fong? As the Leviathan monster was wreaking havoc in Demon Dawn Fortress, Su Fong also joined up with his second primordial spirit. He entered the body of the low-level demon Ghost Spike, who had been seized by his second primordial spirit, and soared straight towards the space-time enchantment channel. Big Goblin Masters rushed towards Demon Dawn Fortress, creating chaos and rescuing the human cultivators. The barrier between the two outer realms had already been torn open by the colossal Gorb Devil. Multicolored light flickered. It was not dazzling, but it was also terrifying to the extreme. It was like the gaping maw of a monster that could devour everything. However, before the enchantment was stabilized, astonishing turbulence constantly gushed out from the torn enchantment, as well as a terrifying strength of chaos and distortion. The Gorb Devil's 1,000-foot-tall body was covered with scars. Some of the scars were as large as canyons on the ground, and black blood constantly gushed out from them. This Gorb Devil's body was similar to an ordinary top-grade Dao artifact, but still wasn't able to withstand the damage. From this, one could see just how terrifying the strength within the crack was. Even if an immortal Emperor-level powerhouse with a powerful mortal body were to enter, they would still lose a layer of skin, even if they didn't die. The two immortal Emperor-level demon powerhouses, as well as numerous demon and demonic path masters, released their demonic energy and formed seals. There were also some that activated their demonic artifacts to help the Gorb Devil recover, resist the power of the turbulent space flows, and stabilize the passage. According to this speed, it would take at most another half a month for the passage to stabilize. The Kuan monster had underestimated the determination and strength of the demon race. Ghost Stab mixed into the crowd of demons. As the Su Fong saw this, it felt a lingering fear in its heart. The movement from Demon Dawn Fortress immediately caused a commotion amongst the tens of thousands of demons and demonic path cultivators. It's that Kuan monster that escaped. The handsome demon man arched an eyebrow, his eyes shining with a sharp demonic light. The middle-aged demon man also frowned. The Kuan monster was shackled by the Lord Demon Emperor's demonic artifact, but it was actually able to escape. Now that it has returned, it seems it has recovered a great deal. This is a bit troublesome. Then, the handsome demon man's complexion changed. This is bad. The spatial tear leading to the divine billow immortal world has been destroyed by the Kuan monster's turbulent energy flow. The middle-aged demon man grimly said, "The space-time enchantment passageway is about to stabilize and the army will arrive soon. We cannot afford to make any mistakes. Song, immediately go and subdue the Kuan monster. This monster's life essence has already been exhausted. Subduing it will be easy. Famine, you and I are both emissaries of the demon realm, yet you dare to order me around." The demon race had always respected the strong. The strong could even swallow the weak as they wished. The high-level figures of the demon race also constantly fought against each other. The Kuan monster had the ability to control space. It would be difficult to subdue it in a short period of time. When the time came, all the blame would fall onto the handsome demon man. As soon as the spatial enchantment passageway was stabilized, the demon race army would arrive. The merit of opening the passageway and welcoming the army would all belong to the middle-aged demon powerhouse. The eyes of the handsome demon named Song exuded a cold light. The middle-aged demon man eerily said, "You failed in seizing the Yellow Springs Demon Emperor's Dao Field and also failed to obtain the Demon Sealing Emperor's Heavenly Seal. This has affected my race's future plans, and you will be severely punished by the demon race. Moreover, your injuries have yet to recover, and your strength is far inferior to mine. What qualifications do you have to be on equal footing with me? Immediately go and stop the Kuan monster and redeem yourself. Otherwise, once the army arrives, you know what the consequences will be." Humph! Famine led over 10,000 demon race and demonic path masters back to Demon Dawn Fortress. Seeing this, Su Fong couldn't help but feel disappointed. He had hoped that the handsome demon man would stay behind and kill him, rescuing Fairy Xuanxin and seizing the Thunder Punishment Furnace. But now, it seemed that all of his hopes had been dashed. Second Primordial Spirit, kill. Su Fong sent out a chilling order to his second Primordial Spirit. Chapter 1241. Boom! Guaci's body suddenly exploded, setting off a majestic aura. The pieces of his body were like sharp arrows, piercing through the bodies of more than a dozen demons. Two figures suddenly appeared. One was Su Fong's original body. He was covered in a golden armored Dao artifact, looking extraordinarily mighty. It was densely covered with golden immortal runes formed by the Emperor's aura, exuding an unparalleled domineering aura. Then, he unleashed his Emperor's aura and rushed like lightning, destroying everything in his way as he charged toward the giant gluttonous demon. The other figure was the Corpse Emperor, who had been possessed by the second primordial spirit. He was wearing a gray corpse robe, and on the surface, he looked no different from an ordinary person. However, he exuded a vast aura of death, as if a death god had descended. The Corpse Emperor suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a black corpse poison. He released a corpse poison domain that covered an area of 300 feet around him. The demons' bodies were far stronger than human cultivators, and their vitality was very tenacious. However, in the Corpse Emperor's corpse poison domain, the demons' bodies were rapidly corroded, and their vitality was also rapidly drained. They fell straight down like leaves in the autumn wind. None of the Grand Elders or demonic Dao cultivators could get within 300 feet of the Corpse Emperor. If they touched the corpse poison domain, They would either die or be severely injured. The Corpse Emperor is stopping him. Desolation, who was forming a seal to stabilize the crack in the barrier, was shocked and issued an order loudly. Devil cultivators and Devil Tao cultivators who were as tall as Grand Elders unleashed their auras as they charged towards the Corpse Emperor. The Corpse Emperor suddenly opened his mouth and let out a sinister roar that caused the air to explode. The sound wave with a strong, evil aura reverberated in all directions. A demonic Tao Grand Elder who was closer to the Corpse Emperor was swept by the sound wave. His body was almost shattered and blood spurted out. As for the other Grand Elders and demonic Tao cultivators, their bodies were directly shattered by the sound wave. The sound contained the power of death, causing the cultivation, true chi, and vitality of the demonic Tao cultivators and demonic Tao cultivators to rapidly weaken. There was also an evil intent of death and decay that caused the consciousness of the primordial spirit to collapse. Death roared the weaker demonic Tao cultivators' bodies rapidly weakened, and their consciousness was eroded by the evil intent. They lost consciousness for a moment and fell down. Stop him at all costs. Under Desolation's command, a series of divine abilities rained down on the Corpse Emperor, causing considerable damage. However, the Corpse Emperor didn't seem to feel pain at all. Boom, 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 the Corpse Emperor was like a hot knife through butter, sweeping through everything in his path, all the way until he reached Desolation, forcing him to stop stabilizing the barrier crack. Desolate activated a demonic whip that was made of white skulls strung together. It was like a huge snake, and it seemed like it could tear apart a territory with a light swing. The Corpse Emperor raised his right hand and formed a giant hand of death. It carried an aura of death as it pressed down on the demon race powerhouse. The second primordial spirit controlled the Corpse Emperor to fight a great battle against Desolation. On the other side, Su Fong was in trouble. But before he could approach the crack, numerous Devil Race and Devil Tao cultivators charged at him from all directions. He casually shot out poison runes one after another, causing a huge explosion. The poisonous blood and poisonous gas condensed into a wave that swept towards the surroundings. He opened his mouth and spat out another mouthful of poisonous blood, which transformed into various forms. They were like swords and tides, forcefully tearing open a gap in the encirclement in front of him. He activated his Emperor's aura to suppress the opponent's aura, and then took advantage of the momentum to charge forward. The aura of the Devil Race and Devil Tao cultivators surged from behind, covering Su Fong. Su Fong activated his Emperor's aura and pushed his golden armor to the extreme. He also activated the tyrannical Emperor's heaven-soaring art's defensive divine ability and charged forward without caring about anything. In just 5 breaths, the defense on his body shattered, and the immortal runes on his golden armor dimmed. Stop for this lord. It turned out that it was Sai Shuejun, who was as famous as Ba Mo Monarch. Devil Race slave Scram, scolding. After forming a seal, Su Fong's body flickered with dazzling golden electricity. His muscles and bones suddenly expanded, and he instantly turned into a giant that was close to 15 meters tall. Giant diamond body clang. Herculean divine palm his arm shook, and 2 huge golden palms appeared in the air, slapping Sai Shuejun away like a fly. Su Fong couldn't use it a second time, but he was now less than 300 meters away from the barrier crack. Whoosh, 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 several figures appeared in front of Su Fong. It turned out to be Bai Ling and the Ghost Dao's 5 freaks. The other experts and the big goblin had all been sent to Demon Dawn's stronghold by Su Fong, so only these few were left behind. However, the Yellow Springs Great Emperor's Bottle still had close to 30,000 minor commanders and several thousand resurrected cultivators. Whoosh, 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 the resurrected cultivators were released by Su Fong. He peeled off their young immortals and placed them into their divine apertures. Kill. As Su Fong's cold and domineering voice echoed out, the 3,000 resurrected cultivators were controlled by their young immortals. They brought with them a torrential death aura, as they fearlessly charged towards the devil race and devil Tao cultivators. In that instant, killing intent and death aura surged, creating an astonishing scene. Each of these resurrected cultivators had the strength of a core disciple. Although they couldn't use any divine abilities, their bodies were incomparably tough and nearly immortal. They were difficult to destroy, and the corpse poison they spat out was shockingly corrosive. In addition, they didn't know what death was. As soon as they charged out, they immediately stopped the devil race. Blood Sovereign Sight cried out in alarm. This person can actually control resurrected cultivators. How is that possible? At this time, cultivators that had died long ago were being resurrected all over the great immortal world, causing chaos everywhere. Heavenly Devil Mountain was no exception. In the Divine Wave Nation's Imperial Mausoleum, the resurrected cultivators had caused Emperor Ing of Emperor Ning's Manor to return in defeat, nearly dying in the Imperial Mausoleum's void world. Now that the corpse sovereign had appeared and several thousand resurrected cultivators had appeared, how could Blood Sovereign Sai not be shocked? The other devil race and devil Tao cultivators were also scared witless, a chill running down their backs. However, the devil race's laws were strict, and they had the absolute advantage in numbers. Under Desolation's strict orders, they once again surrounded Su Fong. There were also great elders and elder-level powerhouses that used their supreme divine abilities to kill the resurrected cultivators. Their explosive divine might covered Su Fong. Since you want to kill, then kill to your heart's content. There's no need to hide anything. Su Fong coldly smiled, revealing the loftiness of an overlord. Shwa shwa shwa, another small commander was released. Every 200 small commanders formed a strange formation, which actually merged the auras, primordial spirits, and even auras of so many big goblin into one, forming a joint attack. Its power was comparable to an ordinary elder-level powerhouse's all-out attack. Great Unity Divine art the Ghost Owls, 5 freaks, all revealed proud and complacent expressions. The formation formed by the small commanders was their Great Unity Divine art, which they had been cultivating in the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's bottle all these years. The Great Unity Divine art was performed by more than 200 small commanders, allowing the relatively weaker small commanders to erupt with astonishing combat strength. More than 20,000 small commanders were equivalent to more than 100 great elders. How astonishing was this power? Rumble, rumble, rumble demonic, chi soared into the sky, and rumbling sounds were incessant. In an instant, 5 great elder-level devil race and devil Tao cultivators were killed on the spot. The number of devil race and devil Tao cultivators below the great elder level was even greater. The small commanders directly collected the corpses and gave them to Su Fong. Although these devil race and devil Tao cultivators contained abundant essence, they also had terrifying demonic chi. They could only be devoured by the small commanders after being refined by the void dust cauldron. Bloodlord Sai was indeed a big shot of the celestial Devil Mountain. He actually tore open a bloody path and went straight to Su Fong. Ghost Owl's 5 freaks. I'll leave this demon to you. It's best if you can capture him alive and let him accompany Monarch Ba. Mo, the Ghost Owl's 5 freaks gladly accepted the order and charged out. Although these 5 people were not the strongest, the great Unity Divine art performed by the 5 of them together was very powerful. When they were subdued by Su Fong, they already had the strength to fight against a powerful great elder like Lin Yihan. After following Su Fong for so long, their strength had skyrocketed. They also had the ability to protect themselves to a certain extent in the face of an immortal emperor-level powerhouse. Bloodlord Sai, directly crushed. Su Fong released the ghoul again, and together with Bai Ling, they stood guard beside him. Then, he flipped his hand and grabbed, and the Origin Saint Mirror appeared in his hand. Then he used his perfect eye power and opened his eyes. Divine light crossed a distance of 1,000 feet and landed on the giant gorilla demon that was opening the space-time barrier. The Origin Saint Mirror can suppress the big goblin and any other life forms. It can even suppress Dharma treasures. Although this gorilla demon is incomparably huge, it can still be suppressed. It's like refining it into a pill. What kind of shocking yang qi would it have? Su Fong licked the corner of his mouth, his eyes shining with a hale and hearty light. With a flip of his wrist, he slowly raised the mirror vertically towards the gorilla demon. Whoosh! The power of the 9 suns in his body exploded, and he entered the Origins Saint Mirror. A red light was released from the Origins Saint Mirror and landed on the mountain-like body of the gorilla demon. Chi! The red light actually burned a big hole in the gorilla demon's chest. Streams of 9 suns true fire instantly burned and swept towards the gorilla demon's body. Roar! The gorilla demon let out a painful roar. Its body trembled, and the cracks it opened with its body also shook. Who knew how many seals were instantly broken? What kind of heaven-defying Dharma treasure is this? The middle-aged demon Desolation, who was fighting the corpse emperor, had already turned into a heavenly demon. His ferocious face was distorted, and his blood-red eyes were filled with shock. Bloodlord Sai and the other demon and demon Dao cultivators saw this scene and felt the supreme power of the Origins Saint Mirror. They were all dumbfounded. Taking advantage of the distraction, the Ghost Dao's 5 freaks activated their grand fusion art and fused their sword formation into one. Their chi and primordial spirit also poured into the 5 flying swords, and a terrifying sword chi pierced into Blood Race Emperor's chest. Boom! A big hole appeared in Blood Lord Sai's body. He was immediately severely injured, but Blood Lord Sai cultivated the blood demon. His vitality was the most tenacious, and he didn't die. The 5 freaks used their sword chi to shackle him. No one had time to pay attention to Blood Lord Sai. All eyes were focused on the crack in the barrier. 9 suns true fire covered the gorilla demon's huge body and burned it. Piles of feces and some black blood were excreted from the gorilla demon's body. The stench was suffocating. The gorilla demon's roar gradually weakened, and its body quickly shrank. Soon, it was only half its size. The 9 yang true flame released by the mirror melted the demonic seal that stabilized the cracks in the barrier, instantly vanishing into nothingness. The power of the Origins Saint Mirror was terrifying. Without the support of the gorilla demon, the stable seal shattered, and the barrier that connected the 2 chaotic dimensions started to heal slowly. Everything happened in the span of a few breaths. No, stop! Stop! Stop him! Desolation shouted and through the corpse emperor's side. He turned around and attacked Su Fong. The other demon and demon Dao cultivators also unleashed their energy and activated their fiend artifacts. They also released powerful fiend puppets and attacked Su Fong together. Hold on for a few seconds. Su Fong gritted his teeth and activated the Origins Saint Mirror. The resurrected corpses fought with all their might. The junior commanders also disregarded their own safety and activated their grand fusion divine arts, unleashing their auras as they fought bravely. At this moment, Qi, a black Xinguang, came out of the corpse emperor's eyes and traveled through the void, arriving behind Desolation's head. Chapter 1242. Bang! Desolation, an immortal emperor of the devil race, wanted to kill Su Fong, so there was still a chance to salvage the situation. Of course, he was also on guard against the corpse emperor's attack from behind. However, he never expected that the lifeless corpse emperor would release such a strange and shocking primordial spirit attack. The divine aperture's defense was instantly broken by the second primordial spirit. Desolation was shocked and frightened. He stopped moving and focused on dealing with the fatal attack from the divine aperture. A battle of possession immediately unfolded in the divine aperture's ocean. Nothing could be seen from the outside, but it was more tragic than any other battle. Chi, chi, chi. Under the burning of the 9 yang true fire released by the ancient mirror, the impurities in the gorilla devil's body were quickly evaporated, and it spontaneously combusted. In just 5 breaths, the huge gorilla devil turned into a ball of blazing red flames and was sucked into the Origin sacred mirror, disappearing without a trace. A red light flickered on the mirror and condensed into a scarlet pill. This pill, Su Fong's eyes lit up and his breathing became rapid. This item was a treasure that surpassed any pill. Su Fong hurriedly put away the scarlet pill and the primordial chaos sacred mirror. Swish, swish, kill this human cultivator, seize that heaven-defying mirror. Suddenly, desolation suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were burning with a strange gray light, and a terrifying invisible force was suppressing this space. Scram! A supreme primordial spirit aura surged out like a vast ocean. The divine apertures in the minds of the surrounding devil race and devil Tao cultivators were instantly shattered. Their young immortals were killed and fell to the ground. The second primordial spirit had succeeded in possession. The devil race's physical body was strong, and their vitality was extremely tenacious. However, their primordial spirits were much weaker than human cultivators. The second primordial spirit had broken through Desolate's divine aperture's defense when he least expected it, entering the divine aperture and crushing his young, immortal primordial spirit. It was much easier to seize the body of an immortal emperor than the corpse emperor, who was filled with evil thoughts. What happened? How can Lord Huang display such a terrifying primordial spirit divine ability? The devil race and devil path cultivators besieging Su Fong were all horrified and retreated like a tide. Kill! Desolate, whose body had been seized by the second primordial spirit, erupted with demonic energy. He activated the skeleton demonic whip, bringing with it an astonishing aura that could sweep through all obstacles. It was like a giant broom sweeping the ground. Large swathes of devil race and devil path cultivators were swept away like garbage. Crazy Lord Envoy is crazy. Run. No matter how strict the demon race's laws were, now that the gorilla demon was killed, the crack in the barrier was about to close, and Huang, who had the highest status and strength, had switched sides. Their will was immediately shattered. They continuously retreated. How could they have the time to pay attention to Su Fong? Su Fong breathed a long sigh of relief. Facing tens of thousands of devil race and devil path cultivators, as well as countless puppet demonic soldiers, it would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Flying over and keeping the corpse emperor into the crucible transformation realm, Su Fong transmitted a message to the second primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit, this time it's all thanks to you. You've worked hard. The second primordial spirit's cold voice came. Main body, you are me, and I am you. There is no need to distinguish between us. Yes, Su Fong nodded. Looking at the tens of thousands of devil race army retreating, Su Fong's eyes flashed with fierce killing intent. Next, it should be the turn of the last remaining devil race powerhouse. At this time, a figure broke through the air and arrived. Lord Song is here, this is good. It turned out that this figure was the handsome man of the devil race, Song. It was just that he had transformed into a heavenly demon at this time. One of his arms was missing, and there were wounds on his body. He was covered in demonic blood, looking very miserable. Tens of thousands of devil race and devil path cultivators suddenly became silent. Even Su Fong was shocked. The Kuan demon's strength was really strong, and his methods were also cruel. Little devil, aren't the devil race always very arrogant? Why are you running away with your tail between your legs like a dog? A voice came from the void. Then, the Kuan demon who had transformed into his human form directly escaped from the void. The Kuan demon seemed to have paid a big price. Like an old man with one foot in the grave, he couldn't even maintain his huge demon body and had to transform into his human form. However, compared to the handsome man of the devil race, the Kuan demon had the upper hand. The battle between the devil race and the devil race actually ended with the Kuan demon's complete victory and the devil race's powerhouse fleeing. But thinking about it, it was not strange. This devil race's powerhouse, Song, had extraordinary strength. After transforming into a heavenly demon, his strength had reached the immortal emperor level. However, when he fought with Emperor Ing and Yi Mei in the Divine Wave Nation's Imperial Mausoleum, he had not recovered from his serious injuries. The devil race's army was about to arrive, and he did not have time to recuperate, so his strength was greatly reduced. He originally thought that after being sealed for so many years, the Kuan demon should be an arrow at the end of its flight. Subduing the Kuan demon might be a bit difficult, but tying him down should not be difficult. However, in just a short 3 months, the Kuan demon had recovered most of his strength. He was also filled with hatred for the devil race, and his innate talent was also astonishing. After a fierce battle, he was actually suppressed by the Kuan demon to the point where he could not retaliate at all. In the end, Song had no choice but to clench his teeth and detonate one of his arms, igniting his vitality to release the devil race's supreme divine ability. Only then did he barely manage to escape. He was prepared to borrow Huang's strength to subdue him. Who knew? The first thing he saw when he arrived was actually Huang continuously killing the devil race and devil Dao cultivators. The crack in the barrier was also continuously closing, leaving behind only a small crack. Song's eyes burned with a faint light. There was incomparable anger, unwillingness, as well as fear and despair from the bottom of his heart. He had been hiding in this immortal domain for countless years. Just as he was about to succeed, he failed at the last hurdle. Perhaps reopening the space-time barrier was not difficult, but once the human cultivators were prepared and directly attacked this place, everything would turn into bubbles. The devil race powerhouse's heart burned with a hatred that could burn the heavens. The devil race and devil Dao cultivators gathered around Song. There were also large numbers of masters hurrying over from Demon Dawn. Although the crack in the barrier was about to close, blocking the advance of the devil race army, and the devil race's immortal emperor-level powerhouse Huang and the giant Gorb demon had both been killed, the devil race's strength was still astonishing. They cannot be underestimated. Suddenly, Su Fong said in a domineering voice, "Drop back for now." Of the over 3,000 cultivators that had been resurrected, only 1,000 remained. With just a thought from Su Fong, all of them gathered around Su Fong. The nearly 30,000 junior commanders didn't suffer too great of a loss. The main reason was that the Grand Unity Divine Art was far too powerful. With 200 people erupting with their auras to form an array formation, even the fierce Great Elder would find it difficult to break through. Hearing Su Fong's order, they drew back. They were like a disciplined army of a mortal nation, not like the arrogant and unruly big goblin. Huang, who had been possessed by the second primordial spirit, also stopped his slaughter of the devil race and drew back to Su Fong's side. Even the incomparably arrogant monster Emperor Kuan Monster leapt through the air and stood beside Su Fong. With a wave of his arm, from the immortal emperor-level powerhouses to the junior commanders and resurrected cultivators, all of them obeyed his orders. Such a domineering aura left many devil race and devil Dao cultivators shocked. That person is him. Yes, he is the human cultivator who stole away the demon-sealing emperor's heavenly seal in the Divine Tide Nation's imperial tomb. Song's eyes were filled with disbelief. As he sensed Su Fong's aura, a terrifying demonic light burst out from his eyes. At this time, Blue Feather King and the other big goblins that had been causing chaos in Demon Dawn Fortress, as well as masters like the Ba Demon Monarch, all of them rushed over, bringing with them nearly 10,000 human cultivators. Most of these human cultivators were female cultivators. They had been secretly captured by the devil race, Heavenly Demon Mountain, 9C Demon Sect, and other Devil Path sections. They mainly came from the immortal AO Great World, but there were also many from other great worlds. They were well aware of the fate that awaited them. They would become nutrients for the devil race to cultivate their demonic arts. As for these female cultivators, their fates were even more miserable. They would become embryos. Just as they were waiting for death in despair, a savior suddenly descended from the heavens. The mood of these human cultivators could be imagined. They originally thought that it was their own sect, Emperor Tranquility's mansion, or some other righteous path influence that had slaughtered their way in a Demon Dawn fortress to rescue them. But who would have known that the one who rescued them wasn't some high-level influence, nor was it some transcendent powerhouse. Rather, it was a young feather immortal realm cultivator. Su Fong, he is Su Fong. A disciple from the constellation of 9 heavens immediately recognized Su Fong and cried out in alarm. Yes, he is Su Fong. I saw him at the grand marriage ceremony of the clear skies myriad scroll gate. How is this possible? Everyone's cries of surprise were like a crashing tide. Whoosh, whoosh. Over 100 figures flew out from the crowd of human cultivators. Su Fong swept his eyes over these people, a trace of surprise in his eyes. They're here. Among these 100 people, there were disciples from the constellation of 9 heavens, as well as masters from the clear skies myriad scroll gate. Su Fong wasn't familiar with most of them, but there were 2 female cultivators that Su Fong was familiar with. One of them was a plain-clothed woman. Her appearance was ordinary, but her cultivation was extraordinary. She was Red Kite, the disciple of Divine Palace Duke Gongyu. The other female cultivator wore the robes of the Nirvana meditation sect. She carried the aura of Li Haojia and the Lord of 5 Poisons. She was also Su Fong's old acquaintance, Fairy Maidenly. Su Fong, it really is you. Fairy Maidenly was shocked. The first time she had seen Su Fong, he had just ascended to the immortal realm. He couldn't even be considered a weakling. The second time they had met in the Desolate Pond Star Realm, he had saved Fairy Maidenly from Baitsubing. At that time, he had transformed into a special disciple of the constellation of 9 heavens. Now that they had met again, how could a cultivator have transformed so shockingly? Fairy Maidenly found it hard to calm her shock. I didn't expect to see Senior here. Su Fong cupped his fist towards Fairy Maidenly. He was also very happy. Of course, this was because of Li Haojia and the Lord of 5 Poisons. Looking at Red Kite, Su Fong smiled coldly. Red Kite, how has the young master of the Divine Palace been recently? Yes, he's been very good. Red Kite hurriedly replied, not knowing what to do. In order to obtain Gongyu, she had once snuck into Su Fong's side and almost killed Su Fong. At that time, Su Fong had been like an ant that she could casually crush. At this time, Su Fong was very nervous. Palace Lord plans to enter the boundless secular palace and obtain the ethereal true solution before directly killing this person. Now that this person has the strength to threaten Palace Lord, I must let Palace Lord know. Seniorly, I'll talk to you later. Ignoring Red Kite, Su Fong cupped his fist towards Fairy Maidenly again. He slowly flew to a place about 100 feet away from the handsome devil, his second primordial spirit, and Kuan Yao following closely behind. Hand over Fairy Xuanxin, and I promise you that I'll let you die while preserving the dignity of a devil expert. Su Fong's clanging voice was filled with a supreme, domineering aura, as if he was an overlord who ruled over a region. Human, if I remember correctly, you're the Tao companion of the female cultivator I've shackled in the Tao artifact. I really didn't expect that the plan I've painstakingly worked on for countless years would be ruined by a human ant like you. I really hate you. Unlike you humans, who only die in battle, there are no devils who wait helplessly for death. Today, even if I have to risk my life, I'll kill you. Moreover, I'll let your Tao companion, Fairy Xuanxin, see with her own eyes how you'll be turned into ashes by my hands. Madness burned in Song's eyes. A broken cauldron slowly rose from the top of his head. Chapter 1243. A shocking aura containing supreme, lightning-type divine might, with a trace of divinity, burst out from the cauldron. Sensing this aura, everyone felt as if they were being stared at by some supreme existence, unable to escape. Once this cauldron released its power, no one would be able to escape the fate of being killed. Moreover, not only their physical body and primordial spirit, everything in this world would be erased. That's a king grade, no, even a king grade Tao tool. The power of lightning tribulation's heavenly punishment. Everyone was shocked, including the devil race. Even the incomparably arrogant Kuan Yao revealed a shocked and fearful expression. What the devils feared the most was lightning-type divine might. Not to mention that the power contained in the lightning punishment cauldron was not ordinary lightning-type power, but the power of lightning tribulation's heavenly punishment with a trace of heavenly Tao's will. Even the second primordial spirit was fearful of this lightning punishment's power. Law hastily warned from the blood jade in the depths of Su Fong's body. Be careful. The lightning-type divine might released by the lightning punishment cauldron has a restraining effect on the second primordial spirit. Do not try to let the second primordial spirit possess this devil. Otherwise, even if the second primordial spirit is not destroyed, it will be severely injured. Su Fong asked, "Strange, although this devil expert has reached the immortal emperor realm, logically speaking, it is impossible for him to activate the lightning punishment cauldron." Law replied, "The lightning punishment cauldron has already become broken and incomplete. Its power has greatly decreased. Naturally, it has become much easier to activate." At this moment, Song laughed nastily. "Let your Tao companion take one last look at you." Using a divine ability, Xuan Xin, who was shackled in the space of the lightning punishment cauldron, could see the situation outside. Is the devil expert finally going to make a move on me? Xuan Xin, who was shackled by a formation in the lightning punishment cauldron, not only did she not look weak, but her entire body was brimming with a strong life aura. This was the result of Tsang Mo's secret method of nurturing a fetus, the result of constantly nourishing it with various spiritual items, in preparation for this devil to use the planting method in the future. However, Xuanqin's eyes were deathly still and filled with despair. Ever since she learned of her fate from Tsang Mo, she had been bitterly struggling in the abyss of despair. Then, her body and life force were sealed, making it impossible for her to end her life. Why are there so many people? Countless experts? Demon emperors? Seeing that familiar figure, Xuanqin felt as if she had been struck by lightning. Her mind instantly went blank. Su Fong, what is he doing here? Moreover, the demon race expert and the demon emperor stood behind him, as if he was their leader. Song's sinister laughter rang out from within the lightning punishment cauldron. "Human woman, you disregarded your own life and death in the Divine Wave Nation's Imperial Mausoleum. You entered the Void Realm within the Imperial Mausoleum and revived countless cultivators to rescue your Tao companion. Now that you've fallen into my hands, and your Tao companion has also recklessly rushed to Demandon's stronghold, the feelings between the two of you can move the heavens and earth. Even I am moved." Boom! Fairy Xuanqin's had exploded. Su Fong, the first time they met, he was only a disciple of Star Palace's Huangfu Dao Rite. His status was low, and he had almost been killed by Gu Huajun. Within Star Palace, Su Fong had been harassed and cursed by Star Palace's disciples. He had bravely stepped forward, but had been punished and humiliated by Huang Fufei. From that time onwards, Fairy Xuanqin had been touched by Su Fong's unyielding nature and had a relatively deep impression of him. Of course, that was only an impression. The marriage alliance was only to return Luosha's favor. As for Su Fong himself, Fairy Xuanqin had never placed him in her heart. It wasn't until around the time of the marriage ceremony that Su Fong had become her Tao companion in name. It was only then that Fairy Xuanqin's fate was linked to his many lives. Gradually, she began to attach importance to Su Fong. However, Fairy Xuanqin had never thought that she would have any emotional entanglements with this person. In her heart, besides the pain that Yin Sun Shin had brought her, there was also Luosha's figure. After falling into the hands of the Demon Clan's powerhouses, Fairy Xuanqin had fantasized time and time again that the sex powerhouses would come to rescue her. Xian Tian would kill his way into Demandon's stronghold. She had even fantasized many times that Luosha would step on divine light and kill all the Demon Clan to save her from despair. However, the sex powerhouses didn't come. Grandfather Xian Tian didn't come either. Luosha was nowhere to be seen. Fairy Xuanqin's heart had long since turned to ashes. She had no more fantasies. Unexpectedly, she had never thought that someone would finally come to rescue her. Moreover, it was the most unexpected person, her Tao companion in name, Su Fong. When one was in despair, even a straw would touch the most fragile part of one's heart. Even if Fairy Xuanqin's heart was as firm as iron and as cold as ice, at this moment, it was as if a valve had been opened. Tears streamed down her face. She was shocked, moved, and also felt a sense of guilt rise up from the bottom of her heart. From beginning to end, when had she ever truly placed Su Fong, this Tao companion in name, in her heart? Although she had become Tao companions with Su Fong, she still couldn't sever the old wounds in her heart. She couldn't forget Luo Sha. This was tantamount to humiliating to Su Fong, even if it was only in name. Su Fong, you idiot who doesn't care about your life for the sake of beauty. How could you seek your own death by going so deep into the demon clan's lair? I, Fairy Xuanxin, don't need you to throw away your life. I really didn't misjudge you. You really do have ambitions for me. But why didn't you tell me about it? And why did you come here to throw away your life? At this moment, in Fairy Xuanxin's heart, there was no longer any Yen Sin Shin, no Luo Sha, and even no Xian Tian. There was only that figure not too far away. She kept shouting in her heart, worried about Su Fong's safety, but she couldn't make a single sound. Are you moved? This way, your life aura will become even more exuberant because of your love. It's just right for you to be my body. So this demon had allowed Fairy Xuanxin to see Su Fong, and there was actually such a deep meaning behind it. Azure Demon continued to say, Human woman, you probably don't know, but this Tao companion of yours is not a simple character. His own strength is more than 10 times greater than his cultivation realm, and he has countless experts under his command. He overturned Demon Dawn's stronghold, and even the advance of the demon race army was stopped by him. He even has a supreme magic treasure that surpasses the King Grade Tao artifact, as well as an endless stream of divine abilities. This time, even the desolate devil fell into his hands. According to my guess, he should have been possessed by one of his subordinates' powerful primordial spirit. Don't you think he's very strong? His mind rumbled once more. This was the Tao companion in name, Su Fong. Impossible. How could this be possible? Do you think you have a chance of escaping from my grasp? Unfortunately, I will extinguish that hope that has just been ignited in you. Then, I will have you watch as Su Fong turns to ash with your own eyes. I will have you burn with hatred, activate your life aura, and become the most perfect body. Huh? Azure wildly laughed, extremely pleased with himself. An ethereal aura erupted from his body. He didn't hesitate to use his own destiny aura to activate the Thunder Punishment Furnace. As long as he could kill Su Fong and obtain the Demon Sealing Emperor's heavenly seal, then with the help of 100,000 demon and demonic pathmasters, escaping with his life wasn't impossible. Then, with Fairy Xuanxin's nearly perfect body, not only could he recover from his injuries, but he might even be able to take another step forward. Then, he could go to the god, burying enclosure, and release the demon sovereign. Once he opened the enchantment channel, sweeping through the entire immortal region would be just around the corner. Beautiful images appeared in Azure's mind, filled with endless longing. At the same time, good fortune of fate, I control the secrets of heaven. If I want to live, the heavens cannot take it from me. Good fortune of fate, I control the secrets of heaven. If I want to live, the heavens cannot live without me. Good fortune of fate, I control the secrets of heaven. If I am destroyed, everything will be shattered. So it turned out that Su Fong was about to activate the life-shrinking technique to seize the destiny of the demon expert in front of him, to resist the lightning power of the Thunder Punishment Furnace and the will of the Great Path contained in it. The ability of the life-shrinking technique was a supreme divine power that could steal the destiny of others. Su Fong had never used it since he ascended to the great immortal world because he couldn't afford to use it. This time, he could only give it his all, regardless of the cost. At this moment, a creepy voice suddenly sounded. Little Azure Demon, did you encounter a human immortal emperor? The enchantment channel that was about to stabilize was destroyed, forcing you to use your last life-saving means? The voice came from the direction of the voice, on the other side of the enchantment crack that was less than a foot wide. That's the Dark Green Demon Emperor is resurrected. The Dark Green Demon Emperor is here. Azure's eyes were burning with joy. He slowly retracted his aura, and even the Thunder Punishment Furnace that had been accumulating power was put back into his divine aperture. Activating the Thunder Punishment Furnace would cost him too much, so he wouldn't use it until the last moment. A thunderous voice came from Su Fang's body. An expert from the demon world directly tore through the space-time enchantment and came here. He's at least an immortal emperor of the ninth Tao realm in the world immortal realm, or even a demon emperor. Hurry up and think of a way. Without waiting for Su Fang's response, a large bloody hand reached out from the crack and tore to the side with all its might. Chi, multicolored light shot out in all directions, and the space-time enchantment that was about to close up was actually torn open by this giant hand, which was about the height of a person. However, the powerful space-time power twisted the hand into a pool of blood, which rolled to the other side of the enchantment. Whoosh! A gush of dark green blood gushed out from the crack and merged with the bloody hand. Then, after a series of tumbling sounds, it condensed into a middle-aged man from the demon clan. He was wearing a blood-red robe. The enchantment crack behind him was forcibly torn apart, but it healed faster. After a few breaths, it returned to normal, and no trace of it could be seen. Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were all focused on this strange expert from the demon clan. This demon's face was as pale as paper. He had a pair of strange blood-red eyes, and his lips were bright red, as if he was a demon that had just drunk blood. With his red hair and blood-red robe, he looked extremely terrifying. Su Fang's great perfection ability sensed that this demon's aura was extremely vast, and it was also filled with an extremely strong aura of blood and death. What shocked Su Fang even more was that this demon clan expert's divine ability was very similar to the underworld blood sea. He hurriedly asked Law, "What kind of demon clan expert is this? Whether it's divine ability or aura, it's different from other demon clan experts." Law's voice came from the depths of his body. "This is a blood demon. If the blood monarch of the demonic mountain cultivated to the extreme, he could also become like this. However, the blood demon of the demon clan was born, not formed through cultivation. Why is his divine ability so similar to the underworld blood sea?" This was the question Su Fang was most concerned about. The demon clan is a race that cultivates the physical body. Moreover, the blood demon's body is blood, not the usual appearance of the heavenly demon that you usually see. The underworld blood sea is the physical body forbidden technique created by the underworld great emperor. What's so strange about it being similar? Su Fang then asked impatiently. Compared to the blood demon's divine ability, which is more powerful. Chapter 1244. Of course, the blood devil can't be compared to the yellow spring blood sea. Putting everything else aside, the blood demon's greatest ability in its blood form is to devour the power of life. Although it's strange and powerful, it can also transform into various forms. It's still far from the netherworld blood sea's ability to devour and fuse with Tao bodies. Moreover, when a yellow spring blood sea is cultivated to the extreme, it can activate several different divine abilities at the same time, which is something the blood devil can't compare to. The blood devil can't compare to the immortal blood spirit and the incomplete yellow spring divine Tao. The yellow spring great emperor can be said to be a rare genius. Unfortunately, he didn't live in the same era as me. Su Fang heaved a sigh of relief after hearing Law's words. Who knew that? Law continued. This blood devil is equivalent to a peak immortal emperor expert. What realm are you at? Moreover, you're different from the other blood devils. This devil is a devil expert who was resurrected by the evil chi of the heavens and earth. In addition to the original divine ability of the blood devil, it might also have the ability to resurrect cultivators. It's a little troublesome. It seems like I can only let my second primordial spirit seize the body directly. With the supreme power of the second primordial spirit, it can suppress the primordial spirit of an immortal emperor expert. Although it's not easy to seize the body of a peak immortal emperor devil expert, it's not too difficult. Law's voice became serious. Don't think that your second primordial spirit is omnipotent just because it has become stronger. The great immortal world is so vast. There are so many supreme experts, supreme cultivation methods, and Tao weapons. Many of them can't be solved by a powerful primordial spirit. For example, the Azure Devil and this Blood Devil. The Azure Devil has the Thunder Punishment Cauldron, so it's difficult for my second primordial spirit to seize his body. Why can't this Blood Devil do it? Isn't the primordial spirit of the devil race not that strong? That's because the Blood Devil is an anomaly in the devil race. They are born with a body of blood and water. They grow by devouring blood. They don't have the divine aperture of human cultivators, big goblin, and other devil races. Their young, immortal primordial spirit and their corporeal body are one and the same. Even if they kill the Blood Devil, their primordial spirit will also be destroyed. What? Su Fong sucked in a breath of cold air. The situation was not good. It was a complete reversal. However, your second primordial spirit is extremely powerful. It can suppress the blood demon and cause him a lot of trouble. Your river, Styx blood sea, pure yang primordial fire, and illusory fire cloud are all effective against the sanguine demon. Furthermore, the sanguine demon tore through the enchantment seemingly effortlessly, but has suffered significant injuries and its strength has been reduced. Combining you, the second primordial spirit, and the Kuan demon, it is not impossible for us to fight it. The only thing we have to be careful of is the Azure demon. The Cauldron of Thunder Punishment is not that easy to deal with. Law's next words let Su Fong breathe a sigh of relief. At this moment, the Azure Devil laughed maniacally. His voice was filled with pride as he said, "Su Fong, the Dark Jade Devil Emperor is here. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant. You are destined to become my powerful nutrients. Your Tao companion will also become my perfect body." Huh? Little Azure Devil, could it be that this little human cultivator injured you to this extent and even destroyed the barrier passage? The Blood Devil said eerily. The bloody light in his eyes swept across Su Fong's body, and the corner of his mouth curved into a disdainful smile. Then he looked at Desolate, who was possessed by the second primordial spirit, and revealed a trace of surprise. The Desolate Devil was actually possessed. This is truly unbelievable. Which immortal sovereign's Yuan spirit are you? Immortal sovereign? What's the big deal? The second primordial spirit said coldly with supreme arrogance. An immortal emperor is nothing. If you came with your true body, I would immediately turn around and leave. Although the current you has the powerful primordial spirit of a desolate devil, with the body of a desolate devil, how much strength can you use to dare be so arrogant in front of me? A bloody tongue came out of the corner of the Blood Devil's mouth with a swoosh. It swept across his face and let out a voice filled with disdain. Senior, given the current situation, we can only fight with our lives on the line. Can Senior still continue the battle? Su Fong secretly asked Kuan Demon. If Kuan Demon was in his peak state, he might be able to fight this Blood Devil. At this moment, Su Fong was very worried. Kuan Demon said in an arrogant and domineering voice, "It's an honor to be able to fight a peak immortal emperor expert." Su Fong couldn't help but admire. Kuan Demon then said with his Yuan spirit, "Su Fong, my Kuan Peng race is almost extinct in the great immortal world. If I die in this battle, you must take good care of the little fellow of the Kuan Peng race. If you can bring him to the myriad of worlds one day, forget about this. Just take good care of the little fellow. Senior, don't worry. Green Feather King is my relative. Even if Senior didn't remind me, I will take good care of him. Moreover, there will be a day when I will ascend to the myriad of worlds with Green Feather King." Then, Su Fong contacted the second primordial spirit. Second primordial spirit, remember not to possess this Blood Devil. Just suppress him with your Yuan spirit. Got it. The second primordial spirit replied. Glancing at the big goblin, junior commanders, and the experts, Su Fong ordered, "Ba Mo Monarch, Great Monk, Dai Yong, the Ghost Dao's 5 freaks, Mount Chong, Green Feather King, Vermilion Emperor, and Sister Bai, you are in charge of dealing with Song Mo. Remember, don't let him have the chance to activate the Cauldron of Lightning Punishment. If there's a chance, kill him and save Xuanxin." The other experts, Big Goblin, and Junior Commanders are in charge of dealing with the other Devil Race and Devil Dao cultivators. Yes, the enemy they encountered this time was unprecedentedly strong. It made all the experts and Big Goblin nervous. However, being able to fight an immortal Emperor expert made their blood boil. The experts, Big Goblin, and close to 30,000 Junior Commanders were all excited. Even the great monk Shangda, who had always been timid and afraid of death, was influenced by the others and was eager to try. As for Fairy Lee and the human cultivators who were just rescued, because the shackles left in their bodies by the Devil Race had not been removed, their combat power was almost negligible. They were not of any use at all. Instead, they were a burden. After obtaining the agreement of the cultivators, Su Fong directly put them all into the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's bottle. Humans, are you ready for your final struggle? I used to love hearing the despair and painful wails of humans. Such human cultivators are more delicious to devour. I didn't expect that I would be able to enjoy a feast of human blood as soon as I was resurrected. The blood demon laughed wildly. His body collapsed and turned into a bloody water state. Its surface area reached an astonishing 3,000 feet. It rolled up and down like a wave, carrying an aura of destruction and devouring everything. Different from Su Fong's Yellow Spring Blood Sea, the bloody water, transformed by the blood demon, did not have the vitality of Su Fong's incarnation. Instead, it was eerie and dark green. It also carried a strong smell of blood, death, and hostility. Whoosh! The blood surged and turned into a 30-meter-tall blood man. He looked down at Su Fong and the others and said in an arrogant voice, "Humans howl and struggle in this emperor's body. Become this emperor's nutrients." The bloody water moved forward rapidly. When it was more than 100 feet away from Su Fong, it shattered and set off a bloody wave. It covered Su Fong and the others with a monstrous aura. A divine power, full of blood and death aura, shrouded all directions, as if it could devour everything in this space. What a terrifying blood demon. Let's see how you can still be so arrogant. Sky-ripping storm. The Kuan demon transformed into a huge Kuan Pung demon body. It flapped its wings with all its might and exploded with a shocking aura of tearing the void. It stirred up the space and set off a chaotic space-time airflow. It condensed into a turbulent wind blade the size of a millstone and flew out. Although the Kuan demon, who had spatial talent, had lost a lot of its strength, it was still very powerful. The blood demon's aura was torn apart and shattered like a rag being torn by the wind. Even the bloody man on the bloody water was torn into a bloody pulp by the turbulent wind. In the next second, the blood demon's maniacal laughter came from the bloody pulp. Kuan demon, although your talent is not bad, it is a pity that you are old. If you were at your peak, this emperor might still be afraid of you. Now your strongest attack is just scratching this emperor's itch. Destroy the blood cloud. Huff, the bloody pulp tumbled and turned into a huge bloody cloud, enveloping the Kuan demon's huge body. Sizzle, the Kuan demon's demon body was rapidly corroded by the bloody cloud, turning into a bloody aura that was devoured by the bloody cloud. It turned out that the blood demon's blood cloud was not only able to devour the enemy's bloody aura, but it also had a shocking corpse poison that was similar to a resurrected cultivator. Its toxicity was about the same as a corpse sovereign's. Chi, a demonic whip that was pierced by white skulls, burst out with a twisting and twisting aura as it charged towards the bloody cloud. It turned out that the second essence soul that had taken over Desolate Devil's body had activated the demonic artifact to attack. Sizzle, the demonic whip's aura tore a hole in the bloody cloud. The skulls that formed the demonic whip suddenly spewed out demonic light, sucking in a large amount of the bloody cloud into their mouths. The thick bloody cloud suddenly became thinner. The Kuan demon took the chance to use his divine ability to break free from the bloody cloud. You dare to absorb this emperor's body? You're courting death. Explode for this emperor. Suddenly, traces of blood clouds appeared from the skull, and cracks quickly appeared on the skull. Following that, it swelled and brewed, and with a rumble, it exploded and shattered. One of the Desolate Devil's top-quality demon equipment was actually destroyed by the Blood Demon, just like that. Blood Cloud Rain. Destroy all directions. This was not the end. The bloody cloud condensed and turned into drops of blood. It gathered into a bloody rain and fell towards Desolate Devil's body that was being possessed by the second essence soul. Desolate Devil's defensive chi field was shattered and his body was stained with the bloody rain. The powerful body of the immortal Emperor level devil expert was actually corroded. Large chunks of it fell off and turned into a part of the bloody rain. Chi Desolate Devil's eyes released a distorted gray light, releasing a supreme primordial spirit divine might, sweeping out, setting off a primordial spirit astral wind. The rain of blood seemed to be swept away by a gale, condensing with a whoosh, once again transforming into a blood man. What a powerful primordial spirit to actually be able to suppress this Emperor's supreme blood demon divine ability. The bloody person's eyes flashed with a strange bloody light. Blood also surged in his body as he praised. I almost killed you, the second essence soul said coldly. Then it came out of Desolate Devil's body and arrived in front of Su Fong. Su Fong directly released the corpse emperor. After being possessed by the second essence soul, Desolate Devil's body could no longer be used. Furthermore, the second essence soul possessed the corpse emperor's body, so was not afraid of being devoured by the blood demon. The Kuan demon also transformed into his human form and arrived in front of Su Fong. After a series of probing attacks, although the losses were not small, they still found out some details about the blood demon. Human cultivator, it seems like that powerful primordial spirit, the Kuan demon, and those human experts with decent strength, the big goblin, are all led by you. This really surprises this emperor. Only then did the blood demon seriously size up Su Fong, appearing to be very surprised. For Yushin Realm Cultivator to be able to control such a powerful force, you are very extraordinary. If you submit to this emperor, not only will this emperor allow you to live, I will also promise you that if you contribute to the devil race in the future, when the devil race sweeps through the immortal Tao, I will bestow upon you the supreme immortal lord who rules over a part of the immortal world. Following that, the blood demon who had transformed into a bloody person pointed at Su Fong. He was high and mighty, like a blood god who ruled over life and death, extremely arrogant. Chapter 1245. I've always liked to control my own fate. The devil race has no right to control my fate. Su Fong's voice was filled with supreme arrogance. You're what humans call a frog at the bottom of a well. With the upheaval of the world, the great immortal world will belong to the devil race. Fighting against the devil race is equivalent to defying the heavens. How dare an ant like you defy the heavens? If the heavens suppress me, so what if I defy the heavens? The clanging sounds revealed an unyielding and supreme domineering aura. Su Fong's voice was filled with killing intent. Kill. The second primordial spirit controlled the corpse emperor to release monstrous chi of death. The Kuan demon also used its spatial ability to attack the blood devil. The Mo monarch and the other experts, as well as the three big goblins, Green Feather Monarch, Vermilion Monarch, and Sister Bai, all used their Tao artifacts. The experts, Big Goblin, Junior Commanders, and the remaining 1,000 resurrected cultivators all charged at the devil and devil cultivators. Their mission wasn't to kill the enemy, but to stop the experts from coming to help. Although the Azure Demon's strength had reached the Immortal Emperor realm, he should have been able to kill anyone below the Six Paths World Immortal realm. However, he had been injured repeatedly. It was already good enough that he had half of his strength left. Each of the experts and great demons under Su Fong's command was extraordinary. Not only did they have extraordinary abilities, but they also had very powerful Tao treasures. At this moment, all of them were in high fighting spirit. Under their joint efforts, the immortal Emperor Azure Demon couldn't fight back at all. Azure Demon had no choice but to cast the 9 Nether Heaven covering hand to resist the ferocious attacks while activating the Celestial Ghost Body Art to flee in a sorry state. Little Azure Demon, how did your strength drop to such a level? You've really disappointed me. Hold on a little longer. Once I kill the Kuan demon and the corpse emperor possessed by the immortal emperor's primordial spirit, I'll come to help you. On the other side, the blood devil, who was fighting the Kuan demon and the corpse emperor, transmitted his voice. He was clearly dissatisfied. Kill that arrogant human cultivator first. The others will collapse on their own. This person's body is full of vitality. It'll definitely be very beneficial to my cultivation. The blood devil transformed into a pool of blood and forced his way out of the corpse emperor's and the Kuan demon's blockade. He instantly crossed the void and charged at Su Fong. Whoosh! Su Fong was caught off guard and his body was covered by the blood. Ant-like humans, you can't even withstand a single blow. How dare you be so arrogant? Become my nourishment, roared the blood water. Blood demon's voice came out from within, sounding very pleased. A wave of flames erupted from the bloody water. Its aura was astonishing, and it carried a supreme fire-type divine might. Sizzle! The terrifying blood boiled, burned, and then evaporated. The death chi and blood poison contained within were refined into wisps of black smoke. What kind of flame is this? It can actually burn my body. After fusing 3 types of alien flame seeds, the current illusory fire cloud had reached a very terrifying level. He could burn some weak world immortal experts to death when he used it at the Feather Immortal realm. What made the blood devil suffer was the pure yang primordial flame. This kind of overbearing flame was above all primordial flames. It contained the power of pure yang. It was the most overbearing power of pure yang. It could refine any evil power. It was the nemesis of the blood devil. However, this blood devil's cultivation was too high. The difference between Su Fong and him was too big. The illusory fire cloud and the pure yang primordial flame could only threaten him to a certain extent. Phaseless fire cloud saber. Su Fong let out a loud roar, and streaks of fiery saber light landed on the blood water of the blood demon incarnation. Boom! 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 The saber light exploded into a large amount of dazzling fire clouds. Every explosion made the blood water tumble. Damn it, human! You've angered me. The blood demon roared. He had originally thought that he could swallow the weak chicken in one gulp, but the weak chicken had actually injured him and angered him. Whoosh! A black disc suddenly appeared above the blood devil. It turned out that Su Fong had used the heavenly demon blood disc. The black demonic light released a divine aura to cover the blood water. However, the blood water was too big and could not cover it completely. The blood devil's primordial spirit and physical body were one. It could not be possessed. However, it was not without a primordial spirit. The heavenly demon blood disc specialized in restraining primordial spirits. The divine aura released not only caused great pressure to the blood devil's primordial spirit, but also affected the blood water's power. It's actually the heavenly demon blood disc. He did not expect a human cultivator to have the heavenly demon blood disc. He also did not expect a feather mortal to be so powerful as to be able to activate the heavenly demon blood disc's power. The blood devil was shocked and furious. The blood water swirled and intended to devour the heavenly demon blood disc. At this moment, the Kuan demon and the second primordial spirit released their powers at the same time. The Kuan demon's shocking aura tore through the void. It set off a chaotic space-time airflow and tore the blood water apart. Although the blood water healed quickly, it caused great damage to the blood devil. The demon sovereign's all-out attack was not to be underestimated. The second primordial spirit attacked with its primordial spirit. At the same time, it activated the zombie emperor's ability to absorb the deathly aura in the blood water. The dark green demonic emperor was a blood devil that had been revived with the help of the evil aura of heaven and earth. The deathly aura was also a part of his body. When it was absorbed by the zombie emperor, his strength was also damaged. You can actually force me to this extent. Even if you die, you should feel honored. Dark green sky devour. Boom! The blood water that the blood devil had transformed into suddenly rumbled and turned into a huge whirlpool. What was more shocking was that the whirlpool turned into a huge face. At the bottom of the whirlpool was the blood devil's mouth. It looked terrifying. Whoosh! The blood devil's mouth took a deep breath. Together with the whirlpool, it formed a terrifying, devouring power. It seemed to even devour the surrounding space-time, twisting and turning into streaks of turbulence. The Kuan demon quickly transformed into the Kuan Peng. It flapped its huge wings and flew out of the area engulfed by the devouring power. The zombie emperor's body, which was controlled by the second primordial spirit, sank and fell toward the center of the blood whirlpool. Although it barely stabilized its body and struggled to not be swallowed by the whirlpool, large pieces of flesh fell off its body. If it abandoned the zombie emperor's body, the second primordial spirit could naturally escape easily. However, the body of an immortal lord was very rare. The second primordial spirit was also reluctant to give it up. Just as Su Fong put away the heavenly fiend blood plate and used the fire cloud steps to escape, a huge devouring force enveloped his body. Not to mention the fire cloud steps, even the illusory fire cloud and pure yang true fire were suppressed by this force to the point that it was difficult to use them. With a whoosh, Su Fong was swallowed into the blood whirlpool. Even the people who were fighting fiercely in the distance, whether it was the big goblin, the experts, the devil race, or the demonic Dao cultivators, all the blood in their bodies reversed. Those who were closer and weaker instantly collapsed and turned into bloodmen. Both sides of the battle were shocked and quickly retreated. Su Fong, master, brother. Seeing Su Fong being swallowed by the blood demon, the experts and the big goblin all cried out in surprise. In the Thunder Punishment Cauldron, Fairy Xuanxin's mind suddenly went blank. Her beautiful and flawless face was full of grief. Large strings of tears rolled down her face. She murmured in her heart, Su Fong, we are not fated in this life. If there is reincarnation, I will accompany you forever. The Azure Demon laughed wildly. Su Fong has already become the nourishment of the demonic emperor. Why don't you surrender now? The dark green demonic emperor's huge blood face also bloomed with a smug smile. As the blood whirlpool kept changing, it was very strange and sinister. Suddenly, the blood face twisted, revealing a painful expression. Even the speed of the whirlpool's rotation suddenly slowed down. The second primordial spirit took the opportunity to break free from the shackles and rushed out of the range of the whirlpool. Roar! Damn it! What kind of strange ability is this? The blood demon cried out in surprise. The blood whirlpool kept rippling, appearing very chaotic. Everyone looked at it in surprise. At the bottom of the whirlpool, the blood demon's mouth had disappeared. Instead, there was a blood whirlpool that was only a few dozen feet in size. However, this blood whirlpool was full of pure yang life flames. It was boiling and burning, completely different from the blood that the blood demon had transformed into, which was full of death chi and demonic chi. What was even more incredible was that as the new blood whirlpool kept spinning, it kept devouring the blood demon's blood around it. The demonic chi and death chi were also refined. No wonder the blood demon was in so much pain. How could it not be painful when its body was being devoured bit by bit? In the blink of an eye, the whirlpool had expanded to an area of more than 500 feet, and it was still expanding rapidly. Whoosh! It turned out that the blood demon had directly stripped off its own blood and escaped from the terrifying blood whirlpool, turning back into a blood man again. The sudden change made everyone dumbfounded. The scene that was originally full of killing had a temporary silence. The blood rolled, and Su Fong turned back into his physical state. It turned out that the moment Su Fong was devoured by the blood demon, he immediately shattered his physical body and used the Acheron Blood Sea. Using the Acheron Blood Sea's powerful devouring ability and the pure yang primordial fire, he devoured part of the blood demon's body. However, Su Fong did not have it easy. After all, the difference between the two was too big. In just a short while, not only was his pure yang energy almost depleted, the Acheron Blood Sea's ability had also reached its limit. The blood poison, demonic chi, and death chi in the blood demon's blood also caused him a lot of damage. The dark jade demon emperor's blood-red eyes lit up with a shocking bloody light. He said in disbelief, "That is the azure demon," cried out in shock. "The Acheron blood sea. That's the Acheron blood sea of the Acheron demon emperor." Whoosh! The demon race and demonic Tao cultivators exclaimed like a tidal wave. The Acheron demon emperor was even more famous among the demon race and demonic Tao cultivators than the righteous Tao cultivators. What shocked the azure demon even more was Su Fang's other identity, the ghost-faced Rakshasa. The person who was most shocked was Xuanxin, who was in the Thunder Punishment Cauldron. Impossible. How could it be? That was Xuanxin's first thought. Then, the figures of Su Fang and the ghost-faced Rakshasa overlapped. There were all kinds of emotions, such as shock, surprise, anger, embarrassment, excitement, anticipation, and so on. Lord Demon Emperor, the Acheron Demon Emperor's inheritance is something the demon world must get. It's in the hands of this person right now. Kill him and get the Acheron Demon Emperor's inheritance. The Azure Demon shouted. The Dark Jade Demon Emperor's eyes were filled with fear. The Blood Demon was a very special kind of demon. If he was injured by other divine powers or auras, he could recover easily by swallowing blood. However, his body was directly swallowed by the Acheron blood sea. This was a fatal injury that could not be recovered even if he wanted to. Although the loss of being swallowed by the Acheron blood sea was still bearable, the Blood Demon was truly afraid. Suddenly, the Dark Jade Demon Emperor took a step forward and traveled through the void. He directly arrived in front of the Azure Demon and unleashed his aura, sending the experts surrounding the Azure Demon and the big goblin flying. Then, the Dark Jade Demon Emperor shot out a blood-red demonic light that enveloped the Azure Demon. "Lord Demon Emperor, what are you doing?" The Azure Demon was scared out of his wits. The Dark Jade Demon Emperor laughed cruelly. "Burn everything you have and activate the Thunder Punishment Cauldron to kill this person. Little Azure Demon, sacrifice yourself for the sake of the entire demon race." Chapter 1246. Boom! The Azure Demon's body burned from the inside out. Not only his physical body, but his vital spirit, devil chi, life essence, and even his own illusory fate chi were all activated by the Blood Demon. Chi, ancient and mysterious thunder runes, appeared on the Thunder Punishment Cauldron. Along with an ancient chi, a shocking thunder divine aura suddenly burst out, enveloping the surroundings. Everyone present, be it human cultivators, demons, or devils, trembled under this divine aura that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. They felt as if everything about them had been erased from this world, leaving no trace behind. Su Fang's masters and the big goblin couldn't stop the Blood Demon even if they wanted to. "Reincarnation, help me." The Azure Demon couldn't control himself. He looked at Su Fang, sensing that his physical body, life chi, and even fate were firmly locked onto. Su Fang shouted without hesitation. The underworld reincarnation sword appeared in his hand. The 3-foot-long sword exuded a powerful and profound chi. As Su Fang struck it with a complicated seal technique that contained the divine aura of reincarnation, a sharp and domineering aura burst out with a shocking reincarnation sword intent. At the same time, Su Fang activated the life-shrinking technique to the extreme. His hair instantly turned white, and his face rapidly aged. Lightning spread out, covering everything in the space. Crack! A bolt of purple lightning with faint golden threads shot out from the cauldron of lightning punishment. In the next second, Song Mo's body first shriveled, and then, like a piece of wood that had been burned to ashes, it turned into ashes and drifted away. It hit Su Fang's body. Lightning was the most terrifying power in nature. The Thunder Punishment Cauldron released a thunder divine aura that contained a trace of the will of the heavenly Tao. Covered by the lightning, all the cultivators, demons, and devils were affected. The thunderous sound even shattered some people's eardrums and made their souls tremble. "Master, the reincarnation sword can't withstand the power of this thunder punishment and can't protect you." Take care of yourself. Su Fong could only activate less than 30% of the Samsara Sword's power. The underworld Samsara Sword could barely absorb and divert some of the thunderbolts. It lasted for a moment before the formation in the sword shattered. It had no choice but to return to the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace in Su Fong's body. The golden armor Tao artifact and indestructible golden body he had taken from Linihan were shattered. The power of thunder punishment quickly spread to every corner of Su Fong's body, instantly destroying more than half of his meridians. The Black Lotus True Body, Blood Transformation True Body, and other abilities fought against the power of the thunder punishment. The Yin-Yang Tao Wheel also exploded with a wave of Yin-Yang divine might that was filled with divinity. It wanted to tame the power of the thunder punishment obediently. The purple Qi Law Spirit fused with the Emperor's seal, emitting a mysterious purple light. It erupted with the aura of a ruler and the loftiness of an overlord. It gave Su Fong supreme luck. It was about to completely reverse the calamity brought about by the destructive power of the lightning punishment. Su Fong's physical body's various abilities completely exploded. In order to deal with the power of the thunder punishment, his body entered a delicate state of balance. At the same time, the Tao inscriptions of the life shrinking technique also started a life-and-death battle in the sea of divine apertures. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens cannot take it away. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens cannot live without me. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If I am destroyed, everything will be destroyed. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If I live forever, I will never die. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If I am alive, the heavens and earth will shake. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If I am the ruler, all the worlds will bow down to me. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If the heavens punish me, I will go against the heavens. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. If the earth buries me, I will break the earth. Fate, I control the secrets of the heavens. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, there is no me. A will of the heavenly way tyrannically wanted to destroy everything Su Fong. At this critical moment, Su Fong used the essence of the great Tao of the life shrinking technique. He continuously chanted with his primordial spirit, making this divine ability that came from fate resist the will of the heavenly way and seize a chance of survival for himself. Buzz, buzz. Many mysterious Tao inscriptions gradually rose from the defensive layer that protected the divine apertures. They turned into Tao inscriptions and flames that burned the will of the heavenly way. Although the will of the heavenly way and the power of the thunder punishment was powerful, it was only obtained by absorbing the thunder punishment. It was not the real power of the heavenly way. With Su Fong's current strength, if he really faced the will of the heavenly way that killed the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor, Su Fong would instantly turn into ashes. The will of the heavenly way was gradually dispelled. Unexpectedly, at this moment, there was a sudden clap of thunder in the sea of divine apertures. It was not the sound of the thunder punishment, nor was it the thunder of nature. It came from the life shrinking technique. Dense Tao inscriptions surged out like clouds and exploded with the sound of thunder. It was like a clap of thunder that came from the depths of fate. Su Fong's primordial spirit was immersed in an ethereal state of nothingness. His consciousness also became blurry. All of this seemed to take a long time, but in fact it all happened in a flash. The violent power of the thunder punishment surrounded Su Fong with lightning. The space around him collapsed. Streams of air spurted out, forming a huge, turbulent whirlpool. Fighting against the demon race is going against the will of the heavenly way. This is the result. The blood demon laughed wildly, like a god that controlled the fate of all living things. The underworld reincarnation sword burst out with its divine power, absorbing part of the lightning and transferring it back. There was another shocking clap of thunder. The blood demon, who was extremely proud, stopped laughing. He was scared out of his wits. He retreated quickly, but before he could turn into a pool of blood, he was hit by the lightning and was sent flying. The blood demon broke into pieces and turned into a pool of blood. Lightning flashed on it continuously, making painful and frightened howls. The cauldron of thunder punishment became an ownerless object and fell down. Deity, Su Fong. After being hit by the terrifying power of the cauldron of thunder punishment, how could he survive? The second primordial spirit, the monster Kun, and the big goblin and experts that Su Fong had taken in were all shocked and fell into despair. Go! As Su Fong was about to be swallowed up by the turbulent whirlpool created by the power of thunder punishment, the monster Kun flapped his giant wings, creating a storm of air currents. The experts and Big Goblin were swept up into the whirlpool. The second primordial spirit grabbed onto the cauldron of thunder punishment, but he was a step too slow. By the time he entered the turbulent whirlpool, he had already lost track of the monster Kun and Su Fong. Damnable, damnable humans. The Dark Jade Demon Monarch was an unsurpassed powerhouse that approached the immortal Emperor realm. Although he was able to dissolve the power of thunder punishment, he had paid a heavy price. The pool of blood that was his body had shrunk by more than half, and he no longer had his previous monstrous ferocity. Even in his long life before he was resurrected, he had never suffered such a severe wound before. If he wanted to completely recover, he would need tens of thousands of years or even longer. His losses weren't limited to this. Demon Dawn Fortress was almost completely destroyed. The monster Kun had escaped, and the human cultivators, except for those who had been planted, had all been rescued. Desolation and Firmament, the two great emissaries of the demon realm who had been lurking in this immortal realm for a long time, had both died. The Gorb demon, who was comparable to an immortal emperor, had died. No less than 10 great elder-level cultivators had died, and countless cultivators below the great elder level had died. What was even more unbearable was that the space-time boundary passage had been completely sealed off. The advance of the demon army had been stopped. If they wanted to reopen it, it would take at least 1,000 years. So many heavy losses, roaring and cursing. The Dark Jade Demon Monarch wished he could kill Su Fong 1,000 times, 10,000 times. But how much had Su Fong lost? More than 2,000 resurrected cultivators, as well as a few big goblin and experts. Compared to the demon army's losses, it was almost negligible. The only thing that comforted the Dark Jade Demon Monarch was that Su Fong had died. Unfortunately, the inheritance of the Yellow Springs Demon Emperor had disappeared just like that. The Dark Jade Demon Monarch couldn't help but feel regret. It was a barren, cold, and desolate ruin. Many big goblins and experts gathered around a corpse. Tens of thousands of people and demons were all grieving and crying. Su Fong's body didn't have the slightest bit of life aura, and even his divine aperture's ocean was deathly still. He was indeed dead. Boy, you said you would lead this king and the big goblin to sweep across the great celestial realm. How did you die? How did you die just like that? King Green Feather couldn't believe it. Bai Ling burst into tears. Brother, it's all our fault. If we had killed Song Mo earlier and taken the Cauldron of Thunder punishment, you wouldn't have died. Dai Yong, Lord Bai Mo, and the other experts, as well as the other big goblin who had besieged Song Mo, all looked guilty. I was hoping that you would help me take care of Qing Yu, the younger generation of the Rock Clan. Who would have thought? The Koan demon sighed. He had already transformed into his human form and looked like an old man with one foot in the grave. After a series of fierce battles, this demon was also at the end of his rope. It has nothing to do with you. In the end, it's all my fault. A white-clothed figure knelt beside Su Fong's corpse. Her face was elegant and beautiful, and her eyes were calm. It was Xuanxin Fairy. It turned out that the second primordial spirit had caught up with the Koan demon and came to this ruin. However, the corpse emperor's body had been mostly destroyed and could no longer be used. Xuanxin Fairy was shackled in the cauldron of thunder punishment. With Song Mo dead, the cauldron of thunder punishment was ownerless. However, it was very difficult for Fairy Xuanxin to get out. However, the cauldron of thunder punishment was a broken Tao artifact after all. The Koan demon, a demon emperor expert with innate spatial abilities, entered the Dao artifact space and forcefully tore apart the array formation to release Fairy Xuanxin. A pair of soft hands gently caressed Su Fang's face, which had been charred by the power of thunder punishment. Fairy Xuanxin Fairy's eyes were no longer cold and still. Instead, they were filled with tenderness. Reincarnation is too long. I can't wait any longer. No matter where you go, I will find you and accompany you in the endless reincarnation. Thinking back to the scenes with Rakshasa and Su Fang, Fairy Xuanxin Fairy finally understood that her fate had long been inextricably linked to this person. From the moment she saw Su Fang in the cauldron of thunder punishment, Fairy Xuanxin Fairy suddenly understood that this person was the one she had been searching for all her life. Now that Su Fang was dead, the most important thing in her life was to follow him to reincarnation. Suddenly, Fairy Xuanxin Fairy revealed a brilliant smile. She was like an epiphyllum, suddenly blooming with beauty. A wave of blood chi fluctuated. At the same time, her true chi and essence spirit also fluctuated violently. They were about to collapse and turn into ashes. Wait! The corpse emperor, who had been sitting cross-legged beside Su Fang, suddenly spoke with his second essence spirit. If you die and I resurrect, won't I regret it for the rest of my life? The second essence spirit's voice was still cold. Resurrect? Fairy Xuanxin Fairy smiled sadly. Su Fang could not be more dead, but he could still be resurrected. Green Feather King Bai Ling and the other big goblin had witnessed countless miracles on Su Fang. Moreover, the one who spoke was Su Fang's second essence spirit. Hope was instantly ignited. Chapter 1247. Let me take a look. Second primordial spirit said coldly, then came out of the corpse emperor's body, turned into a dazzling black light, and entered Su Fang's divine aperture through his forehead. In the divine aperture ocean, a golden young immortal sat cross-legged above the spiritual power ocean, as if he was in a deep sleep, but also as if he was cultivating. However, he looked very dispirited, but there was a faint supreme, lightning elemental divine might lingering around him. What was even stranger was that not only the divine aperture ocean, but even the vital chi in his body and even the heaven and earth Tao palace were in a stagnant state. La, second primordial spirit, suddenly called out to the blood jade in the depths of his body. There was a response from the blood jade. Hello, second primordial spirit. I thought you would also be destroyed by the thunder punishment force, but it seems that you are fine. Second primordial spirit let out a sigh of relief, but his tone was still cold. His temperament was becoming more and more different from Su Fang's original body. A little bit of thunder punishment force can't damage blood jade. Law, what's the original body situation now? After a moment of silence, Law's faint voice sounded again. It's very dangerous, but also very strange. Law, please be more direct. The power of the thunder punishment almost destroyed his physical body and spread to every corner. However, Su Fang has a perfect physical body and special abilities such as the Black Lotus True Body and Dragon Taming Wood. He has reached a balance with the power of the thunder punishment. Either he fuses with the power of the thunder punishment, or he is destroyed by it. So, isn't it very dangerous? It's extremely dangerous, and he can be turned into ashes at any time. However, I have said again and again that great danger always hides an equally great opportunity. For Su Fang's original body, now he is also facing an opportunity to transform. Second primordial spirit didn't say anything, quietly waiting for Law to continue. Second primordial spirit, you are really like a piece of wood, even more boring than the original body. Well, you won't understand, even if it's too complicated. So let's make it simple. Let's use a piece of wood as an example. Have you ever seen a tree struck by lightning? The second primordial spirit directly replied, never seen him before. Law almost choked, cough. Su Fang is now like a tree struck by lightning. It looks dead on the surface, but in fact the roots and stems inside are intact. If he finds an opportunity, not only can he be resurrected, but he will also be reborn. His physical body and various abilities built on the basis of the perfect physical body will transform together. Not only that, but because he has integrated the power of thunder punishment, his physical body will have more lightning abilities. It's just like how some mortals would have some special abilities after escaping from being struck by lightning. That's the reason. The second primordial spirit asked, "What if you can't find the opportunity you mentioned?" Law was very confident. If it was other cultivators, even some supreme powerhouses, the possibility of obtaining a new life is next to nothing. But on Su Fong, the probability of obtaining a transformation is higher. Why? Luck. Su Fong has the purple Chi Dharma spirit. Not long ago, in the void realm inside the yellow tomb of the Divine Wave Nation, he merged the purple Chi Dharma spirit with the Emperor's seal. He has the supreme luck to dispel misfortune and turn misfortune into blessings. It is this kind of luck that can reverse the decline of Su Fong's destruction and turn the calamity into a power that promotes his transformation. I don't quite understand. What is the opportunity? The opportunity is by his side, the Xuanxin fairy who is ready to die for love. Without waiting for Law to say why, the second primordial spirit directly interrupted him. "What should I do? It's really boring talking to you. You don't even give me a chance to show off. Then let's be more direct. Dual cultivation. Dual cultivation of yin and yang, with the help of the fusion of yin and yang, is the opportunity for Su Fong's physical body to regain vitality." Dual cultivation? You could have just said those two words. Law, are you really? Clothes? Huh. Spicy Ren, Ike Amaranth. Cough, cough. Law had always been the one to teach Su Fong a lesson, but now he was choked by the second primordial spirit to the point that he couldn't speak. Law was very depressed. The second primordial spirit asked again, "With my physical body's current state, how can I dual cultivate with a woman?" Finally seizing the opportunity, Law bluntly reprimanded, "Idiot, who said that dual cultivation requires physical intercourse? Let the Xuanxin fairy's primordial spirit and Su Fong dual cultivate, and then let the woman's pure yin shi enter Su Fong's body to fuse yin and yang. Do you understand?" The second primordial spirit was unmoved, and then asked, "Why did my primordial spirit fall into a deep slumber?" That's because he used the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, and his life force was almost exhausted to the limit, and he couldn't replenish it from his physical body. In addition, because of the power of the thunder punishment, he obtained a destiny god art from the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, and he temporarily doesn't have the power of his primordial spirit to comprehend it. So it's like this. Whoosh! The second primordial spirit directly withdrew from Su Fong's divine aperture. "Oomph, you're so stubborn in front of me. I'll let you and Xuanxin fairy do the deed. Let's see if you'll still be so stubborn. I'll help you solve your physiological problem, and you don't need to thank me." Deep within the blood jade, Law's proud voice sounded, but unfortunately, Su Fong couldn't hear it. It turned out that Su Fong didn't need to dual cultivate at all, and sooner or later he would wake up. It was just a matter of time. Law's arrangement was purely to take advantage of Su Fong's unconscious state to ruthlessly trap Su Fong. The corpse emperor suddenly opened his eyes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xuanxin fairy and the people beside her all looked at the corpse emperor with hopeful eyes, as if this terrifying corpse emperor with his lifeless aura was a great savior. "There's a way." The second primordial spirit's cold voice fell into everyone's ears like the sound of nature, very pleasant to the ears. His cold gaze fell on Xuanxin fairy. "Dual cultivate with my primordial spirit, and he will wake up." Hua, surprise, surprise. Then, the atmosphere became somewhat subtle and strange. This method, Xuanxin fairy's face turned red in an instant, and she was extremely shy, with a peculiar charm. The experts and great demons were all dumbfounded by what they saw. They looked angrily at the second primordial spirit. "Even if you want to use this method, can't you avoid everyone first?" The latter was unmoved, and used the voice of the primordial spirit to convey Law's words word for word. Lowering her head in silence for a while, she raised her head again, and Xuanxin fairy's expression returned to calmness. her eyes revealing determination. He and I are dual cultivation Tao companions, and it's perfectly normal for us to dual cultivate, let alone to save his life. What a decisive woman. Although Su Fong and Fairy Xuanqin had long become dual cultivation Tao companions, and almost everyone in the celestial realm knew, the experts and Big Goblin under Su Fong knew that ever since the two of them dual cultivated, they had not even held hands. Moreover, Xuanqin's personality was cold, reserved, and unapproachable. At this time, in order to save Su Fong, she did not hesitate to agree to dual cultivate with Su Fong, without any hesitation, without any pretense, and without any hesitation. This made the experts and Big Goblin secretly admire her. Looking at the experts and Big Goblin, Fairy Xuanqin regained her cold appearance of the number one fairy, and her cold voice carried a sense of dominance. I'm dual cultivating with your master, and you're planning to watch from the side? Could it be that you dare to belittle and profane me, the mistress of the celestial realm? We don't dare. Su Fong's experts and Big Goblin all changed expressions, revealing shock and awe, and they all retreated into the distance. The second primordial spirit and Kuan demon also stayed far away. Who knew? Before Bai Ling left, she said with a smile, "Brother's wife, you take your time, Su Fong. I'll ask for wedding candies another day." Whoosh! Xuanqin's face was completely red, and even her ears and snow-white neck were bright red. Huff! She let out a long sigh. Xuanqin settled down for a moment, and her heart calmed down. She set up array after array to protect the surroundings, and then took out a white jade-like Tao artifact. And after activating it with a seal, it floated above, emitting a holy white light and abundant spirit qi, enveloping the two of them, completely isolating them from the outside world. In her mind, scenes of her meeting with Su Fong, and of course, Rakshasa, flashed continuously. All this time, you've been saving me, and today, I'll save you once. My heart and everything I have now belongs to you. It's a pity that you fell into a deep sleep during our first dual cultivation. Thinking of Su Fong's disguised identity, Xuanqin felt ashamed and angry. You bad guy, I'll let you off this time. If there's a next time, you'll have to explain everything clearly to me in the past. After helping Su Fong sit up, Xuanqin activated a shockingly cold Xian Guang, enveloping Su Fong inside. On the other side of the ruins, nearly 50 miles away, the Vermilion Emperor laughed strangely. Since coming to the great celestial realm, our mistress has never enjoyed the pleasure of a man and a woman. But this time, it's a blessing in disguise. Not bad, not bad. I kind of want to find a female demon. It'd be best if she could give birth to a bunch of little pigs for me, hee. Bai Ling glared at the Vermilion Emperor. I'll give birth to a bunch of stupid pigs for you. The monk Shangda also smacked his lips with a covetous look. It seems I'll have to consider finding a nun to dual cultivate with and give birth to a few little monks for me. Maybe I can even break through my current realm. However, it's difficult to find a female Buddhist cultivator in the great celestial realm. Smack. Bright Light's head was slapped hard by Bai Ling, and it was loud and clear. Su Fong had always treated Bai Ling as his elder sister, and among the many experts in Big Goblin, her status was the highest. The monk didn't dare to get angry, and said innocently, "I'm talking about human relations. Why did you hit me?" Bai Ling said with a murderous look, "Buddhist cultivators always think about such filthy things. You're simply a lecherous monk. In order to prevent you from harming female cultivators and damaging my brother's reputation, it seems that I really have to break your fifth limb first." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Malicious gazes shot over, scaring the monk out of his wits. He hugged his head and fled, swearing in his heart that if he ever got within 1,000 feet of Bai Ling in the future, he wouldn't be the monk Shangda. Just as the commotion was going on, Kuan Yao suddenly sent a voice transmission to Green Feather King. "Little guy, come with me." Sensing Kuan Yao's declining aura and the determination in his eyes, Green Feather King had a bad premonition in his heart, and he followed Kuan Yao out of the ruins. In the array formation, Fairy Xuanxin's burst of pure yin energy enveloped Su Fang, seeping into Su Fang's body. Unexpectedly, more than half of Su Fang's physical body was destroyed by the power of thunder punishment, and his skin turned into a layer of charred skin, like the outer layer of charred wood, and the yin energy couldn't penetrate. Hesitation. The next second, Fairy Xuanxin's eyes revealed shyness and determination, but the corners of her mouth curled up, and a bright smile bloomed, looking incomparably beautiful. The Taoist robe on her body was taken off, revealing her beautiful and flawless white body. Even a masterpiece carefully carved by the gods would be overshadowed at this moment. Then, Fairy Xuanxin hugged Su Fang from behind, her chest tightly pressed against Su Fang's back, and her palms overlapped, resting on Su Fang's navel. At this moment, there was no longer shyness on her face, but holiness instead. Another burst of yin energy, as well as her life aura, her luck, and everything else, erupted without reservation, attacking and penetrating again and again. Chapter 1248. In the divine aperture world, Fairy Xuanxin's primordial spirit, which carried a cold aura, hugged Su Fang's young, immortal deeply. This was the first time Fairy Xuanxin was experiencing dual cultivation on a deeper level. In the past, the so-called dual cultivation between her and Yin Sun Xin was merely the transfer and fusion of their true qi. Most Tao companions used this method to dual cultivate. At this moment, it was a fusion at the soul level. It was a completely different realm from the former. However, Su Fang's young immortal did not react. Fairy Xuanxin's physique was very special. The cultivation technique she cultivated was also a supreme technique of the clear sky's myriad scroll door. Her cultivation talent was unparalleled. This was also the reason why she could become the #1 fairy of the clear sky's myriad scroll door. Her true qi and primordial spirit contained a cold aura. Not only was it pure and cold, but it also carried a pure and holy aura that could not be blasphemed. However, Su Fang's young immortal was dispirited, and his consciousness was in a state of deep sleep. He did not react at all to the aura of Fairy Xuanxin's primordial spirit. Just the aura of the primordial spirit is far from enough. In front of him, I don't need to hold back. Fairy Xuanxin opened her heart and released the call from her soul. She used her sincere and passionate love, her ethereal fate, and even her life to try to awaken Su Fang's sleeping consciousness. Due to her physique, temperament, and cultivation technique, her love was pure and untainted. Since she was young, she had been protected by her grandfather, Xian Tian. She had been carefully nurtured by the clear sky's myriad scroll door. Unknowingly, she had a providence that surpassed others. At this moment, she gave everything to him. At the same time, Fairy Xuanxin also activated her cold aura without holding back. She even released her vitality to unblock Su Fang's blocked and even withered body and meridians. It penetrated into his body with difficulty. A trace of vitality slowly appeared in Su Fang's body. However, it was very weak. It was like a flame in the wind, about to be extinguished at any time. Gradually, Fairy Xuanxin could feel that her vital spirit, vital qi, and even her vitality were weakening. However, she didn't hold back at all. There was only one obsession in her heart. Soon, Fairy Xuanxin's consciousness became blurry, and her cultivation level plummeted. She was reduced to immortal. If this continued, she would vanish in less than 10 breaths. Am I really not fated with him? Am I not even qualified to dual cultivate with him? Or is it that he doesn't have me in his heart at all? Even if I give up everything, it will still be difficult to wake him up? Dispirited. Despair. His soul was about to disperse. Suddenly, in the ocean of Su Fang's divine aperture, there was a sudden clap of thunder. An ethereal sound of thunder, which contained the supreme divine might of the thunder element, rumbled. It wasn't the kind of thunder that carried the will of destruction. Instead, it was like spring thunder that awakened all living things. Su Fang's young immortals finally started to absorb the cold energy. At first, They were a little hesitant. Then, as if they were extremely hungry and thirsty, they greedily and even domineeringly swallowed the cold energy. Fairy Xuanxin's primordial spirit was also absorbing the yang energy from the yang immortal's explosion. They absorbed and fused with each other. And with this ethereal clap of thunder, the fates of the two were also intimately intertwined. At the same time, Su Fang's yin-yang Dao wheel, which had been silent all this time, also flashed with a bolt of lightning. It swept through the 25 yang meridians and swept away all the haze. The entire yin-yang Dao wheel exploded with an astonishing amount of pure yang energy. Yang energy represented the source of life. Su Fang's pure yang energy was even more so. As the pure yang energy swept through and fused with Fairy Xuanxin's cold, true qi, Su Fang's body was like a withered tree that had received the nourishment of rain and dew. It immediately regained its vitality. The potential of the perfected body exploded. The Black Lotus true body and dragon taming Wood's abilities were automatically activated. His life aura burned like flames. Fairy Xuanxin's almost depleted life aura was instantly replenished as the pure yang energy entered her body. Soon, she was full of vitality again. This feeling, not only did the two's true qi and primordial spirit form a cycle in their bodies and yang energy, their bodies, souls, and everything else were fusing with each other. Even their fates were fusing. This was the highest level of dual cultivation, the feeling that came from far beyond a physical body. Fairy Xuanxin felt as if she had floated into the clouds. She could not help but let out a clear groan from her soul. Her consciousness that had just woken up sank into an incomparably wonderful feeling. Almost subconsciously, she hugged Su Fang even tighter. She wanted to fuse with Su Fang's body and never be separated. As for Su Fang, his consciousness had not completely awakened. He only wanted to sink into the immense joy of his body and mind. His body was constantly regenerating. It was as if it had been baptized by thunder. His perfected abilities, his various true bodies, and his Tao palace were all quietly transforming. Fairy Xuanxin's gains were also completely beyond her imagination. As her heart was completely open, the knot in her heart was also completely untied. In addition to the benefits brought by the fusion of yin and yang, the bottleneck that had restricted her for many years slowly loosened without her noticing. Time gradually passed. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. On the other side of the ruins, many experts, the big goblin, and many junior commanders were sitting cross-legged on the ground. They all looked like they were focused on cultivating. In fact, this was a desolate place. There was not much spiritual qi of heaven and earth. There was also no spirit vein or elixirs like before from Su Fang. Naturally, cultivation would not have any effect. It was even more impossible for them to be in the mood to cultivate. Every one of them winked at each other from time to time and secretly communicated with their primordial spirits. They were very excited. Only the second primordial spirit sat cross-legged in one place with its eyes closed. It did not move at all. Because the corpse emperor's body was severely damaged, he looked like a genuine corpse. The Green Feather King had gone somewhere with the Koan demon. They had not returned yet. Communicating with their primordial spirits was not very satisfying. In the end, the Vermilion Emperor could not help but exclaim, "Dual cultivation for 10 years. Master is indeed mighty. Even I am ashamed of my inferiority." The Ba-Mo monarch, Dai Yong, and the other experts were very mature. They were also very respectful of Su Fang. They sat there without moving and did not say a word. The monk Shangde looked around and found that Bai Ling was not beside him. He said softly, 10 years is nothing. If it were me, I would spend at least 100 years on dual cultivation. The Vermilion Emperor said mockingly, "You would do dual cultivation for 3 seconds and then meditate for 100 years, right?" The big goblin could not help but burst into laughter. Bai Ling's angry voice sounded, "We don't even know if Brother Su Fang is dead or alive. How dare you make fun of him here? When he wakes up, I will definitely tell him and see how he will deal with you." All of them fell silent. The monk was more like an obedient child. Woolen Goblin suddenly said, Everyone seems to be joking. In fact, we are all worried about Master's safety. It has been 10 years, and there is still no news. Bai Ling let out a sigh, filled with worry. Everyone fell silent. Suddenly, the corpse emperor suddenly opened his eyes, and a wisp of a strange light flashed within his lifeless eyes. Bai Ling noticed the corpse emperor's abnormality and asked worriedly, "Did something happen?" The second primordial spirit said coldly, "There is nothing else. I have awakened." "Master is awake?" After a moment of surprise, the experts and great demons burst into a burst of cheers and laughter. The huge stone that had been hanging in their hearts was finally lifted. Inside the formation, Su Fong and Fairy Xuanxin opened their eyes at the same time. Su Fong turned around, and the two of them sat opposite each other. They looked at each other and smiled. They did not look like they were doing dual cultivation for the first time. Instead, they looked like Tao companions who had known each other for many years. Their hearts and minds were connected. It was as if they could understand each other's thoughts with just a look. This kind of dual cultivation at the highest level allowed both of them to be in each other. Their primordial spirit and vital qi, spirit and flesh, as well as their fates, were all fused together. There was no surprise in Su Fong's eyes. Although he did not know what had happened at this moment, everything else was not so important. Fairy Xuanxin was also not shy or reserved. Her face was calm, and there was no coldness or sadness in her eyes. Instead, they were filled with deep affection. Her whole body also exuded a different temperament and charm from before. However, when Su Fong saw that beautiful body, a pure yang fire suddenly emerged uncontrollably from his body. Blood immediately flowed out of his nose. "You bad guy." A layer of pink instantly appeared on her white, jade-like body. It was very alluring. Her flawless face was also flushed red. She no longer had her previous calmness. Whoosh! A Dao robe covered the charming and gentle scenery. Fairy Xuanxin walked away from Su Fong. Su Fong was disappointed. He was also depressed. They had become a true dual cultivation couple, but he still did not have any status. Fairy Xuanxin's pleasant voice sounded. "Everything I have is yours. Of course, that includes my body. If you want it, I can give it to you at any time." Like the sound of nature, Su Fong's eyes suddenly bloomed with a hale and hearty light. "At the same time, you are also mine. I also want," Fairy Xuanxin continued. However, this time, there was boundless shyness in her voice. Boom! Su Fong seemed to have been struck by the cauldron of lightning punishment again. He completely turned into a stone statue. Fairy Xuanxin's voice returned to normal. "Your body has just recovered. You need to examine it carefully to see if there are any side effects. I also gain a lot from the dual cultivation just now. I need to cultivate quickly and break through the bottleneck in one go. The days ahead are very long. There is no need to be greedy for the moment of joy in front of you." Whoosh! Fairy Xuanxin was right. Su Fong suppressed the restless flames in his body. He controlled his breathing and quickly calmed down. After inspecting his body, Su Fong was given a fright. It turned out that there was a layer of black impurities around his body. It was like shedding a layer of skin. There was also a layer of skin that had been damaged by the lightning punishment. He looked at his body again. It was sturdy and well-proportioned, as if it had been carefully sculpted. His entire body was filled with a strange sense of power. It exuded an awe-inspiring masculine aura. His every movement exuded an unparalleled charm. If there were other women present at this moment, they would most likely be excited, screaming, or even fainting on the spot. Su Fong couldn't help but steal a glance at Fairy Xuanxin. He thought to himself, she can actually control herself, as expected of the #1 fairy. Her willpower is astonishing. How admirable. It wasn't just the surface of his body. Su Fong felt that his entire body, from inside out, and even the Tao Palace of heaven and earth, had transformed. Moreover, he could vaguely feel that there was something extra. Just as he was about to carefully inspect the inside of his body, suddenly, there was a burst of movement from the Yang meridian. Immediately after, an astonishing amount of pure Yang energy burned. It actually felt like it couldn't wait. The 26th Yang Meridian is about to be born. This time, the birth of the Yang Meridian came very fiercely. There's almost no need for Su Fong to deliberately attack it. Once he activated the 9 transformations, the illusory fire cloud and pure Yang primordial fire exploded from the depths of his body. The yin-yang Dao will burned and trembled. Then, a surge of flames with a surging aura swept past the yin-yang Dao wheel. The 26th Yang Meridian that was burning with pure Yang primordial fire suddenly exploded with a bright light. Immediately after, it became a new Yang Meridian. The 26th Yang Meridian was unexpectedly and logically born. Chapter 1249. The Yang Meridian automatically moved and merged with one end of the 25th Yang Meridian of the yin-yang Dao wheel, forming a yin-yang Dao wheel made up of 26 Yang Meridians. Because of the extra Yang Meridian, the yin-yang Dao wheel made a circle, and the Yang Qi inside became more abundant. Every drop contained essence. Not only that, the yin-yang Dao wheel also had some very obvious divinity. Its divine power was amazing, and it even revealed the will of heaven. The quantity changed, and so did the quality. Master, it turned out that the sword spirit of the underworld, Samsara Sword, took the initiative to speak. Samsara, I remember that when you were hit by the power of thunder punishment, you were also injured. How are you now? Su Fong asked with some concern. Thank you for your concern, Master. Although the thunder punishment cauldron is powerful, it is not a divine weapon after all. It is broken and incomplete. Although the Samsara has suffered some damage, it is not important. That's good. Su Fong breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, he was gradually able to activate the power of the underworld Samsara Sword. This supreme Taoist weapon would be his most important helper in the future, and he did not dare to have the slightest loss. Master, in your heaven and earth Tao palace, the supreme divine power is even stronger. In the dark, I have a feeling that if I don't obey your orders and go against your will, I will be destroyed. The sword spirit's voice was full of awe, which had not been there before. The Xianming Thunder Archive suddenly said with a cold voice, Su Fong, I can feel a supreme will in the heaven and earth Tao palace. That is the divine power of thunder punishment, which makes me have to obey your will. It should be the power of thunder punishment that under the effect of some kind of power in your body, your godhood has transformed and become more divine. Su Fong asked, Then I will be able to activate you soon? The Xianming Thunder Archive replied, If you cultivate the supreme thunder method, you should be able to activate part of my power easily. The sword spirit of the Samsara Sword said with joy, It seems that Master is more and more likely to ascend to the heavens in the future, and I may also become a supreme divine weapon. Su Fong separated a Yang immortal and escaped into the blood jade. Law, are you okay? Law immediately said, Of course I'm fine. But you, this time, was extremely dangerous. But you could be considered a blessing in disguise. You have gained a lot this time. I just woke up, so I haven't had the time to take a closer look. Yin-Yang dual cultivation, TSK, the happiest thing for a cultivator. How could you bear to wake up? Luo's teasing immediately alerted Su Fong. Luo, did you peek at my dual cultivation with Xuanxin Fairy? No, absolutely not. What kind of person do you think I am? Luo responded firmly. This, he would never admit it. Su Fong was very suspicious. You're not a decent person, and you're developing into a shameless person. You should take a good look at the changes in your body first. You might be surprised. After a round of inspection, Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. The Dragon Taming Wood, Black Lotus True Body, Monarch True Body, Blood Transformation True Body, Illusory Fire Cloud. All of his abilities had undergone a metamorphosis as well. However, he would still have to slowly test out the extent of the metamorphosis. What surprised Su Fong even more was that there was a familiar power in his physical body, the power of thunder punishment. Although it was only scattered in various parts of his body and did not condense into meridians to run, this power was real. With a thought, a purple lightning glow emerged from his finger. There was a faint golden glow within it. Although it looked very weak, the terrifying lightning punishment was above any lightning-type divine might. Su Fong hurriedly asked Law, I was hit by the thunder punishment cauldron, but why do I have the power of thunder punishment? What's going on? Your physical body and all kinds of abilities based on the perfect physical body were in a deadlock with the power of thunder punishment that tried to destroy you. The purple chi dharma spirit reversed your misfortune, and together with the special cold energy of fairy Xuanxin, your physical body finally merged with the power of thunder punishment, making it a new physical ability of yours. If you continue to cultivate, it is possible to cultivate a new real body. Thunder punishment, real body. Thunder punishment, real body. Another ability, and it was the terrifying power of thunder punishment. Su Fong was in ecstasy. Law praised again. I've heard that there are many supreme powerhouses in the myriad heavens who cultivate thunder techniques, but there are very few who have the thunder punishment real body. After all, the power of thunder punishment represents the destructive power of the heavenly Tao. Cultivate the thunder punishment real body well. Not only will it be a supreme ability for you to sweep through the immortal realm, but it will also be a powerful life-saving method when you enter the myriad heavens in the future. Su Fong, the luck brought to you by the purple chi dharma spirit is simply heaven-defying. Su Fong couldn't wait to ask, how do I cultivate the thunder punishment real body? I'm not sure. Maybe if you try being struck by thunder punishment a few times and use the tribulation lightning to temper your body, it might be effective. Being struck by thunder punishment? Su Fong's scalp tingled. He put the matter of the thunder punishment real body aside for now, and then asked, what's going on with my physical body? Everyone knows that thunder divine power can destroy everything, but they don't know that in the destruction, there is also a huge power of life. Legend has it that the beginning of all things in the world was born in thunder and lightning. Those cultivators and Big Goblin, after surviving the heavenly tribulation, will immediately transform and step into a new height. This is the reason. Do you understand why there is such a change in the physical body? After destruction came new life. It turned out that all things in the world contain the Tao of reincarnation. Law suddenly said, Su Fong, you fell under the thunder punishment cauldron this time. If not for Fairy Xuanxin's dual cultivation with you, you would need at least 1,000 years or even longer to wake up. If you want to fully recover, it will take even longer, and it will be even more impossible for you to develop a young meridian. Fairy Xuanxin's physique and her cultivation method will have unimaginable benefits for your future cultivation. Take advantage of it. From now on, Fairy Xuanxin is my woman. I will blend with her and become a part of each other. Even if she is of no use to me, I will treat her as sincerely as I treat myself. Su Fong's voice was filled with determination. Suddenly, Su Fong's voice suddenly became cold. Law, didn't you say you didn't see us dual cultivation? How do you know her physique and cultivation method? I definitely didn't see what I shouldn't have seen. Cough, cough. Law's coughs came from the blood jade, and then there was no more sound. Law, you shameless, despicable guy. One day, I will settle this account with you. Su Fong fiercely threatened, but he felt helpless. He really didn't have any good way to deal with Law. In the future, when doing certain things, it seemed that he had to be on guard against Law, or at least deceive the blood jade. Glancing at Fairy Xuanxin, who was in a state of cultivation, Su Fong's gaze softened. This woman was already an inseparable part of his life. He entered the divine aperture ocean. When he was hit by the thunder punishment cauldron, Su Fong used the divine life shrinking technique to fight with the will of the heavenly Tao in the thunder punishment cauldron. The divine life shrinking technique let out a clap of thunder, and many new Tao runes gushed out. Although Su Fong lost consciousness at that time, the feeling of enlightenment was very clear at this time. He used the divine life shrinking technique. A large number of mysterious Tao runes surged in his mind. There were Tao runes that he had cultivated before, and the new, unfamiliar Tao runes were the ones that appeared when Su Fong lost consciousness. He deciphered the new Tao runes. All of a sudden, Su Fong gradually had the power to destroy the fate of others. Fate in creation, in control of the heavenly Tao. Heaven punishes me. I defy the heavenly Tao. Fate and creation, in control of the heavenly Tao. Earth buries me. I break the earth. The thunder of fate. This was a new ability that he comprehended from the divine life, shrinking technique after fusing with the power of heavenly punishment. It was not the ability to deceive his own fate, nor was it the ability to forcibly seize the fate of others. It was a kind of ability similar to the thunder technique, the ability to destroy the enemy. Not only did it destroy the enemy's physical body and primordial spirit, as long as it was related to him in fate, he would directly obliterate it, as if this person had never appeared in the world. What a heaven-defying thunder of fate! Immediately, Su Fong peeled off a young immortal and entered the origin sacred realm space. The divine artifact space was crimson and still incomparably mysterious. Su Fong could finally walk in space, but it was still not that easy. It was very strenuous. After releasing his will and yang qi, a familiar 9 cold qi swept over from the depths of the void. The mysterious woman's voice sounded leisurely. Your 9 yang true qi has become pure. It looks like it won't take long for you to step into the third transformation of a 9 yang 9 transformations. Congratulations. Su Fong said, Senior, I have some doubts that I would like to ask. I was struck by the power of lightning punishment and obtained some Tao runes from the divine life shrinking technique. It seems to be an ability called the thunder of fate. The mysterious woman was stunned. The power of lightning punishment? The thunder of fate? Tell me in detail. Su Fong recounted the process of him being struck by the power of lightning punishment and almost dying, as well as the process of him obtaining the thunder of fate to the mysterious woman. Understand. The power of lightning punishment is the punishment of the heavenly Tao released by the big goblin to those cultivators who try to defy the heavens and change their fates. Your physical body is very powerful. It withstood and fused with the power of lightning punishment. At the same time, it changed your own fate and brought the power of heavenly Tao punishment to the divine life shrinking technique. Therefore, you have the powerful ability to represent the heavenly Tao and use lightning punishment on the fates of others. So that's how it is. Isn't the thunder of fate very powerful? The mysterious woman praised, using the power of lightning punishment to destroy the ethereal fate of others. What kind of divine power is this? How can it be just powerful? You have really profited from a disaster. Even I don't have such an ability. Go and comprehend it well. Then she continued, however, although this ability is powerful, it also consumes a lot of life energy. Think about it. Lightning punishment and fate are powers that only the heavenly Tao has. How can you compare to the heavenly Tao? It's best that you don't use it easily. It might instantly drain your life energy. Su Fong felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head. He couldn't help but feel disappointed. Unexpectedly, the mysterious woman continued. However, if you have a lightning-type divine tool with your current cultivation, it will be difficult for you to use a divine tool even if you have one. If you have a supreme-grade Supreme Tao tool, you should be able to use the Thunder of Fate with the help of the Tao tool and the Divine Life Shrinking Technique. Su Fong was overjoyed. Wasn't the Xianming Lightning Archive a lightning-type Supreme Tao tool? He didn't expect that he would find the supreme lightning-type divine power to use the Xianming Lightning Archive from his own divine life shrinking technique in the end. You've finally dual cultivated with a woman this time. The yang qi in your body has reached a new height. This woman's physique and cultivation method are both extraordinary. If the two of you can further intertwine and do the deed between a man and a woman, the yang qi in your body will continue to transform. Soon, you'll be able to form your 27th yang meridian and step into the third transformation. Continue to work hard. The mysterious woman's voice gradually faded away.